Chapter 301. With the movies appearing in the past few days, there was a large group of movie fans in Imperial City, making Miracle Commerce the hottest company in Imperial City. Not only did Miracle Commerce have a breakthrough in their business, their internal progress was also very fast. The most pleasant surprise was Chen Bingyu's breakthrough. Even Chu Tian never would have thought that Chen Bingyu would have a breakthrough this quickly. This meant that Chu Tian would have a bodyguard that was not inferior to the Southern Summer 8 Marquises. Adding in the 18 divine blood-eaten corpses in his hands, the number of people that could move against Chu Tian could be counted on one hand. In order to celebrate this large matter, Chu Tian personally went to celebrate Chen Bingyu's success. Meng Qinggu was sitting in her office. The warm sunlight passed through the window and fell onto the white-clothed beauty. That neatly tied-up hair, that beautiful face without a single flaw, that elegant and noble temperament, even the harshest eyes could not find a single flaw on this woman. This was simply the incarnation of a perfect goddess. Meng Qinggu was the true manager of the company. She could not be as carefree as Chu Tian. She was currently reviewing the recent financial statements, calculating the latest growth data, and making plans for the next step. They had spent quite a bit of money recently. The theater system and various other investments had used at least 200-300 million. But, Miracle Commerce's financial situation was still very relaxed. Whether it was talismans, pills, food, or supplies, they were all growing at a rapid pace. Even Miracle Broadcasting and Qilin Hall's income were increasing. Miracle Commerce's business, other than the theater's temporary loss, had maintained a shocking growth rate, surpassing their expectations every month. This was also the reason why Miracle Commerce could quickly rise. Meng Qinggu was a very cautious and meticulous woman. Although Miracle Commerce was very rich, Meng Qinggu was not satisfied with the current situation. The several hundred million in cash was her ammunition for expansion. How to carefully use them to earn more benefits was Meng Qinggu's responsibility and also a way to show her value. Chu Tian was this powerful. If she couldn't play her role, how could the vice-chairman feel at ease? Meng Qinggu had always been very grateful to Chu Tian. If it wasn't for Chu Tian, not to mention today's glory, it would have been a problem for her to continue standing in Tiannan City. Chu Tian had promoted them, so what else could Meng Qinggu do other than work hard to repay Chu Tian? Was she going to devote her life to him? Pooh, what are you thinking about? After Meng Qinggu considered it carefully, she suddenly drew a line with her pen. The reserve funds were divided into 3 parts and she wrote a plan. The first sum of money would be invested in the Research Institute to continue perfecting the technology of Miracle Commerce. The second sum of money was used to expand. In addition to increasing the investment in movies and dramas, a large number of people with special talents were recruited from the public. They began to establish the group's henchmen, the Chu men, to reserve more talents and more experts for Miracle Commerce. The third sum of money was used to invest in strength. Meng Qinggu started to use Miracle Commerce's channels to collect natural treasures and various cultivation materials from all over the country. Especially the materials that contained the power of the stars, they would support the Starlight Immortal Body cultivation of the Miracle Commerce high-level members. Meng Qinggu carefully considered the details and immediately sent them out. Meng Qinggu continued to look through the other materials, which were the details of the various departments. Meng Qinggu personally managed Miracle Commerce's advertising revenue had doubled and Meng Yingying was in charge of the food and beverage department. What surprised Meng Qinggu the most was that Nan Gongyun was in charge of Qilin Hall and there was a shocking matter that happened recently. The eldest prince had publicly joined Qilin Hall. This Dongfang Haoran was quite broad-minded. He had been heavily injured a few days ago, but not only did he not think about taking revenge, he actually joined the training hall to study. Among the younger generation of large families, there were very few people like Dongfang Haoran. This was a chance. Meng Qinggu decided to use this chance to hype things up. Dongfang Haoran's status was not low. If he joined Qilin Hall, it would be a good chance for Miracle Commerce to consolidate. They could even use Qilin Hall to directly absorb him into the company. As for whether Qilin Hall could keep Dongfang Haoran, There was no need to worry about this at all. Most of Qilin Hall's information was personally organized by Chu Tian. For a martial arts fanatic like Dongfang Haoran, as long as he went there once, it would be like he was addicted to hallucinogens. Wasn't Qin Bingyu like this in the past? Dongfang Haoran joining Qilin Hall was a warm-up, and he also announced the matter of cooperating with the royal family to produce a movie. At that time, the entire city would be discussing this, guessing the relationship between the royal family and Miracle Commerce. This was beneficial to Miracle Commerce. Speaking of the movie with the Southern Summer King, Meng Yingying had already brought people to prepare for the production. The materials used for the movie would be paid for by the National Treasury, so it was a business that would not lose anything. Meng Qinggu was not satisfied with this. At this time, a voice came from the door. Chairman Han of the Flame Rose Commerce requests an audience. She finally came. Meng Qinggu's lips curled into a smile. The Flame Rose Commerce was a first-rate company in Imperial City, mainly dealing in weapons and armor. Even the Storm Cavalry's equipment was specially made by them. They had several billion in sales each year and were a true large company. When Meng Qinggu arrived in the guest hall, she saw the Flame Rose Commerce's chairman. This was a 40-year-old woman with white skin and a full body, looking like a 16-year-old girl. Because her surname was Han, everyone called her Madame Han. Madame Han personally coming, this is truly a rare guest. Meng Qinggu personally poured a cup of elven green tea for Madame Han. Madame Han looked over Meng Qinggu and gave a heartfelt praise. Young Miss Meng is even more beautiful than I imagined, truly young and promising. You've only been in Imperial City for 2 months, but your performance is too shocking. What is Madame Han saying? The Flame Rose Commerce is a 50-year-old company. Miracle Commerce does not dare call itself big in front of you. Old and decaying, I can't compare to the rising stars. Meng Qinggu did not beat around the bush and took the initiative to ask, Madame Han is too modest, you're here for, I have a win-win plan, is little sister Qinggu interested? There's no harm in saying it. Today I'm going to personally watch the movie. The charm of this movie cannot be compared to any other form of entertainment. It will definitely become popular in Imperial City and Southern Xia. I think that since the movie is so popular, why don't we fully exploit its profit potential? I have an idea. In the next movie, most of the characters will be wearing the Flame Rose style equipment and will also have the logo of the company. Meng Qinggu deliberately frowned as if she was in a difficult position. Relax, we will not interfere with any of the productions. In any case, the story is about soldiers and soldiers. Soldiers need equipment, right? Madame Han increased her bargaining chip and said, as long as the Han family's weapons and equipment can be implanted, I am willing to sponsor this movie with 20 million. Meng Qinggu suddenly smiled, Madame Han, this matter is not difficult, but 20 million is a bit too little. 20 million was not enough. Madame Han glared at her, it's just adding a few logos and graphics on the armor and weapons. This is as easy as lifting a finger for you. Even if that's the case, it will have a great advertising effect on your company's products. What Madame Han can think of, other merchants will think of sooner or later. Do you think just 20 million is enough to compete? How much do you want? At least 100 million. Madame Han was shocked. She really dared to ask for such an exorbitant price. 20 million gold coins was a lot, but Meng Qinggu asked for 100 million. Just by adding a few logos, she could recoup more than half of the cost of making a movie. This was too good at making money. 100 million is too high. Madame Han had a bitter expression, this is a new thing, who doesn't know how effective it will be. With such a high price, if it doesn't achieve the desired effect, then we will really lose everything. At most 50 million, no more. Meng Qinggu calmly said with a smile, actually, I am preparing to hold an investment fair and look for business partners to cooperate with us. Miracle Commerce is planning to build theaters in other cities, so the power of this advertisement is very strong. I think many people will be interested in this, and if Madame Han thinks the price is too high, there will naturally be others who will bid for it. Madame Han wanted to cry, 80 million. This is already the limit. Meng Qinggu took a sip of tea and slowly said, I can reveal a secret piece of information in advance. Miracle Commerce will cooperate with the Southern Summer King to make a movie about the rise and fall of the kingdom. There will be scenes of tens of thousands of soldiers fighting and a powerful army. Moreover, this movie will be collected by the Southern Summer King and become a masterpiece of Southern Summer. Do you think a price of 100 million is too high? I might as well tell Madame Han that this is only the current price. With more theaters and more influence, this price will change. The younger generation will surpass the older. Madame Han finally gave up. 100 million is 100 million. You have to give us a chance to display our equipment. It's best if you can give us a simple introduction and praise. No problem. The two women reached an agreement and immediately signed the contract. Meng Qinggu revealed a satisfied smile. This Great Summer Beacon had not even started production yet and they had already received 100 million from the Flame Rose Commerce, as well as a production fee from the king. There would also be ticket sales and additional expenses. This money was truly too easy to earn. Not long after Madame Han left, the other merchants and nobles came one after another. Some wanted to cooperate and some wanted to appear on screen. From logos, to advertisements, to cosplay, and even story customization, there was nothing they couldn't do. Meng Qinggu was right. Miracle Commerce did not need to earn this much money through ticket sales. Looking at the current potential, the movie had not even started production and they had already received 200-300 million in sponsorship fees. Who dared to say that the theater was not making money? Not only could it make money, it was simply a monster that made money. Meng Qinggu was filled with longing for the future of the theater. This was because before long, all of the major cities of southern Xia would be covered in theaters. That was when Miracle Commerce's money would come rolling in. Meng Qinggu had an even crazier idea. She wanted to create a culture of movies that could be exported to the surrounding countries and other races. This would allow Miracle Commerce's influence to spread even further. Chapter 302. The theaters had already been open for 7-8 days, but the popularity of Imperial City had not decreased at all. Rather it was becoming more and more popular. There were even nobles, rich people, and merchants from the surrounding cities that came all the way to Imperial City just to personally see this wonderful movie. Imperial City's theaters did not have any empty seats and were filled with people every day. Just the cheap tickets made a lot of money, not to mention the large amount of money spent on the 4 theaters. With the current trend, after a month of screening, even if Miracle Commerce could not recover all of their costs, they would still be able to recover most of their investment. 4. Now there were only 4 theaters. Miracle Commerce had only deployed 4 theaters and they could achieve such a glorious result. If they deployed 8, 16, 32. What about 100? Who said the theaters did not make money? The prospects were clearly very good. This did not even include the other costs. A tall and slender man appeared in King City. He wore a dark green cloak that covered his tall and slender body, and a large hood covered his beautiful face. His dark green hair hung down, soft and smooth. He was very beautiful, and his sleeves were as white as jade. Most women would sigh at his beauty. Aubersen looked at the Imperial City theaters and his eyes revealed a trace of interest. If someone were to see his true appearance, they would definitely be shocked. This man not only had a beautiful face that would make women jealous, his ears were long and pointed, completely different from humans. There was no doubt. This was an elf. The elven era was older than the spirit beast era. Not only were the elves handsome and elegant, their lifespans were around 8 times longer than humans. The longer the lifespan of a creature, the more they knew how to enjoy life and appreciate art. Each elf was a knowledgeable scholar and a multi-talented artist. There were no known elven kingdoms around southern Xia, so this elf must have coincidentally wandered around southern Xia. When he heard that there was something interesting here, he specially came to take a look. Theaters? Interesting, These greedy and endless humans, there was actually a part of them that had artistic cells. This was truly surprising. Auberson had already been to many human kingdoms, but the small southern summer country gave him a special feeling. Although it was only a small kingdom, there were many things that even large kingdoms would be surprised by. For example, there were electric lights, source energy pots, loudspeakers, and even radio stations. He really didn't know what was going on. Although the tickets to the theater were sold out in a few days, Auberson still had a way. The theater had VIP seats that were sold by bidding, and most of the VIP seats were sold for 100,000 gold coins. The deadline for bidding was 3 hours before the screening. Auberson found the closest one and there were only 10 minutes left until the bidding deadline. "I need a VIP seat." Auberson spoke in standard human language. His voice was soft and slightly raised, giving people a noble feeling. His white hand placed several source stones on the table. "Is this enough?" "Primordial stones?" The staff of Miracle Commerce was shocked. The primordial stone flickered with light. Not only was it extremely pure, but it also contained a large amount of energy. This should be a mid-grade primordial stone. This mid-grade primordial stone was equivalent to 100 low-grade primordial stones, and a low-grade primordial stone was equivalent to 10,000 gold coins. In other words, this place was worth millions of gold coins. It's enough, it's enough. Miracle Commerce did not dare be negligent because most of the people who used source stones to buy tickets were foreign cultivators, not to mention being this generous. I asked Mr. to wait a moment. The VIP seats were not the same. Not only was the location very good, it was also a private room. No one would disturb them and there were attendants on the side. Auberson walked into the theater and casually ordered a few dishes cooked with source energy. He threw a few mid-grade source stones to them and counted the rest as tips. The attendants almost fainted from happiness. This tip was equivalent to 50 years of their salary. "You can leave, don't disturb me." "Yes, yes." The attendants with faces filled with happiness immediately left. Auberson picked up a piece of meat with his chopsticks and placed it in his mouth. His eyes lit up and he was filled with pleasant surprise. Humans could also make this kind of wonderful food? It was not inferior to elven gourmets at all. The small southern summer country was truly a place filled with pleasant surprises. At this time, the giant screen lit up, and the movie officially began. First, a loud eagle cry and the sound of the wind came from the speakers in all directions. Together, they intertwined in the theater, and together with the gorgeous scene, it made people feel as if they were in the theater. Interesting, very interesting. Auberson was instantly attracted by it. No matter what the content was, this scene and this effect, there was nothing to say about it. The story of the movie slowly began to unfold. There were many twists and turns. The main character was smart and witty, the Demon King was evil and cruel, and there was also a simple love story. After many twists and turns, the male and female leads finally lived happily together. Good. This is great. Everyone in the theater began to clap. Auberson was also very excited. He had traveled to many places, but this was the first time he had seen such a new and interesting thing. It really was not in vain coming to the southern summer country. When everyone was about to leave, the giant screen that had already been extinguished lit up once again. A beautiful and pure girl appeared in the center of the screen. She had a faint smile on her face as she looked at everyone. "Ah! Isn't this the princess?" "Stupid, the princess identity is fake. This is the Miracle Commerce executive, Miss Meng Yingying." The elf was also surprised when he saw this. He never thought that this kind of technology would allow him to directly make a video call. "Hello everyone, I am Meng Yingying. It has already been a week since the movie was released and I would like to thank everyone for supporting Miracle Commerce." The audience broke out in warm applause. This kind of good thing, and it was cheap, how could everyone not support it? Miracle Commerce was truly the most conscientious company in Imperial City. Meng Yingying then said to everyone, "In order to thank everyone for your support, Miracle Commerce has released a souvenir, the video player." After saying this, Meng Yingying moved to the side and revealed a strange device behind her in front of everyone. The screen of this device was very large. It was a 2-meter wide and 1-meter tall image transfer mirror. There were beehive-type loudspeaker clusters installed on the left and right sides, and a layer of black boxes stuck closely to the back. It looked very high-end. This is Miracle Commerce's newest product, the video player. As long as you have this video player, you can play Miracle Commerce's movies and TV series. Currently the quantity is limited, only 10 a day. We can only sell it through bidding. In the future, after we achieve mass production, we will open it up for sale. Everyone is welcome to buy it. So it was an advertisement. This video player was very tempting. However, there were only 10 of them, which was too little. Imperial City never lacked rich people. Ordinary people didn't even dare think about it, so they could only wait for the public sale to buy it. The elf was very tempted and immediately went to the place to buy it. The 10 video players were already being auctioned off. If they bought the video player this time, they would also be able to receive a free audio disc of the Scarlet Blood War, allowing people to watch movies and TV series anywhere. Moreover, with the video player in hand, if they released more works in the future, they could also buy discs to watch after the screening. Everyone rushed to the auction house and the bidding immediately began. 500,000. 1 million. I'll bid 5 million. While the faces of countless nobles were turning red, a soft voice suddenly came from the crowd, 100 million. Everyone almost spat out blood. Who the fuck was this? Did he really not treat money as money? Even in a place like Imperial City, 100 million gold coins was not a small number. The Miracle Commerce staff were all stunned. How could there be such a crazy person in this world? Aubersen did not understand the surprise of these humans because to him, 100 million gold coins was not considered much wealth. He walked onto the stage and the ring on his white finger flashed. Large amounts of source stones fell down like rain, quickly forming a small mountain. Can I take it? Yi. You can. The Miracle Commerce staff were almost blinded by the pile of source stones. The elf walked in front of a video player and gently waved his hand. The video player continued to shrink until it was sucked into the ring. Storage ring. This is the legendary storage ring. This thing is worth at least several tens of billions of gold coins. Everyone couldn't help being shocked. Storage items were priceless treasures, not to mention a convenient spatial ring. This mysterious fellow not only had a shocking amount of money, he also had a storage ring, so he definitely came from a large kingdom or even higher level place. This was enough to make the people of a small southern summer country feel a deep sense of awe. This kind of person could not be provoked. No matter how strong a family was in southern Xia, once they provoked a character from a large kingdom or even an empire, they would be consigned to eternal damnation with a single breath. Aubersen did not like the feeling of being watched by humans. If it wasn't for the fact that he liked the video player, he would not have joined in on the fun. Aubersen never thought that at the end of this trip, he would have such a pleasant harvest. Aubersen was not in a rush to leave, rather he went to the market to buy several magnetic sound machines, phonographs, and large amounts of magnetic sound discs, casually spending over 100 million gold coins. What did this little bit of money mean to him? Aubersen had his reasons for bringing these things back. The little princess had been bothering him before he left, making him bring back a gift. Aubersen had a headache about this. What kind of treasure had the little princess not seen before? He couldn't just buy a young dragon to bring back. He couldn't afford to offend the little princess. If he couldn't bring back something she liked, Aubersen did not dare imagine the consequences. Now he could finally let out a sigh of relief. These new and interesting things, the little princess would definitely like them. However, Aubersen never would have thought that after he brought the video player to the little princess, it would bring countless troubles to himself and the elven forest. Chapter 303. Elder Sister. Meng Yingying pushed open the door in ecstasy and walked in with her 2 slender legs. 10 video disc players have been sold and each one was auctioned for a high price of around 1,000,000 gold coins. But do you know how much the most expensive one was sold for? Meng Qinggu was startled and thought for a while. The current Meng Yingying was also someone who had seen the world and would not make a fuss like before. If it was just a few million or 10 million, she would at most be surprised for a while and would not act like this. Could it be more than 100 million? Wow, elder sister, you really dare to guess, but you guessed it right. Meng Yingying's small face was filled with shock and disbelief. I can't believe that someone would spend 100 million gold coins to buy a video disc player. When we officially start production of this video disc player, each one will at most sell for a few hundred to 1,000 gold coins. This is what it means to have too much money to burn. It can't be, really, more than 100 million. Meng Qinggu was shocked and knew that this matter was not simple. Did you investigate the identity of the other party? I did, but I couldn't find anything. He is an outsider and used source stones to trade. It seems like he has already left Imperial City. Meng Qinggu frowned and thought, Miracle Commerce's influence has already begun to spread to other countries. I don't know if this is good or bad, but I hope it doesn't bring us any trouble too early. Miracle Commerce had already become a business in southern Xia. Although it was not the richest or the largest business, it was the business with the most potential. If it continued to develop, it was only a matter of time before it became the #1 business in the country. Southern Xia was a small country after all. No matter how much Miracle Commerce grew in a small country, there would be bottlenecks and restrictions. Although Meng Qinggu did have plans and foresight to expand internationally, it was still too early. If they were targeted by some real giants, Southern Xia might not be able to protect Miracle Commerce. However, the trend was inevitable. Instead of worrying about the future, it was better to speed up. It seemed like they had to speed up their plans in all aspects, especially the acquisition of materials. Only when everyone was strong would they have the confidence to stand on the continent. Where did Chu Tian go? He just left. How could Meng Qinggu not understand her little sister's thoughts? After obtaining such a large victory, the first thing she would think of was to take credit for Chu Tian. The great scholar just came to find him and said that there was a situation in the weapon factory and wanted him to take care of it. Meng Yingying revealed a disappointed expression. Meng Qinggu gave 2 soft chuckles. What are you in a hurry for? There is a royal banquet being held in the palace tonight and all the nobles in the city will be attending. We are also invited. You is a celebrity, so you should prepare properly and not make Miracle Commerce face. Miracle Commerce. Meng Yingying naturally did not dare to be negligent. Okay, I will prepare to go now. Chu Tian came to the Imperial City Arsenal. This was the place the calm martial ruler had personally chosen. It was over 20 kilometers from Imperial City and was hidden deep in the mountains. The surrounding forest was guarded by the Dongfang family's experts, so even a bird would find it hard to fly in. This calm martial ruler is too cautious. It's just a normal source energy weapon factory, there is no need to go through so much trouble. Gu Qianqiu followed beside Chu Tian, not making a sound. This brat said it so easily, but did he know what this weapon factory meant to Southern Xia? Southern Xia had been suppressed by the Warhounds tribe for many years, so these source energy weapons could be their only chance to turn the tables. The Southern Summer King was this polite to Chu Tian. At least a large part of the reason was because of Chu Tian's source energy weapon technology. Chu Tian first verified his identity and then walked into the camp. He passed through a stone door and a cave, finally arriving inside the factory. There were 500-600 mechanical presses and several dozen semi-automatic 3D machines that were currently rumbling in operation. Each person working inside was wearing the same uniform with the Dongfang family's insignia on their chest. Of course, the defenses of these workshops were very tight. One could often see the Dongfang family's blood-clothed generals leading incomparably large canine demon beasts patrolling the area. The weapon factory already has this kind of scale. Chu Tian's shock was not without reason. The Imperial City weapon factory was built a month or two later than Central State, but he never thought that it would already develop to this degree. He estimated that it had already caught up to Central State. Now that it was fully operational, the parts were manufactured one by one and sent to a secret workshop. There were several hundred array masters engraving runes inside. This weapon factory also had half of Miracle Commerce's shares. The bigger the Dongfang family was, the more advantage Miracle Commerce would have. Great Scholar Gu, Scholar Chu. A very capable Dongfang family high-level elder bowed to the two of them with eyes filled with respect. Many thanks for coming to the Central State Factory. The ruler has been waiting for a long time, please come with me. The calm martial ruler was not wearing any armor and was only wearing a simple set of training clothes, but he was like an unsheathed treasure sword or an eagle on a mountain peak. It was impossible for people to ignore the calm martial ruler's existence. The calm martial ruler simply explained the matter. Chu Tian instantly understood what was happening. It turned out that when the source energy weapon blueprints were given to the Dongfang family, the calm martial ruler and the Southern Summer King immediately organized the entire family to research it. Following this, the calm martial ruler realized that he had been tricked by Chu Tian. This blueprint did not include the energy magazine. The only energy magazine production facility in the Southern Summer Country was in Central State. In other words, even if Imperial City made the source energy weapons, if they did not buy the magazines from Miracle Commerce, they would not be able to create a new army. The Southern Summer King was very angry when he learned of this matter. He wanted to force Chu Tian to take out the energy magazine manufacturing technology. However, he was stopped by the calm martial ruler because the calm martial ruler had dealt with Chu Tian before, so he knew how hard it was to deal with Chu Tian. There were many powers behind Chu Tian now, so he could not easily move against them. The most important thing was that the calm martial ruler already knew that the energy magazine was made from crystal oil and most of the crystal oil in southern Xia was stored in Central State. When Miracle Commerce had just been built, they had already started building the battery factory. The production line was already very complete and almost all the oil mines were under Miracle Commerce's control. Now if they wanted to make their own energy magazine, not only did they need the blueprints, they also needed the source energy battery blueprints and they needed to take back the oil mines under Miracle Commerce's control. This was taking away Chu Tian's lifeline. All of Miracle Commerce's products used this as an energy source. Not to mention that different weapons had different magazines and Imperial City did not have the ability to develop them. If they angered Chu Tian, they would be separated in the end. After 2 months of research in the Dongfang family's laboratory, we have found a method to make up for the lack of magazines in the source energy pistols. The calm martial ruler spread out a blueprint in front of Chu Tian. It was a very complex source energy array. When the magazine runs out of energy, the user can pour their own spirit energy into the gun and replace the energy magazine, using spirit energy to shoot the bullets. Gu Qianqiu was shocked. You secretly completed this design? He was a minister of the Dongfang family, so Gu Qianqiu knew how deep the Dongfang family's foundation was. However, the Dongfang family hiding this from Miracle Commerce and Gu Qianqiu, this was a very amazing matter. If it was completed, they wouldn't have come to find me. Chu Tian rolled his eyes. Most likely they invested large amounts of money and manpower, but their research stopped in the end, so they had no choice but to ask me for help. The calm martial ruler felt a bit awkward. The Dongfang family hoped that the weapon they controlled would be more complete than Miracle Commerce's. They didn't know that this was child's play. Chu Tian could make it in a few minutes and he could do it better than them. Gu Qianqiu looked at the blueprint a few times. This blueprint should have been made with quite a bit of effort. Each part is very complete and this old man can't find any mistakes in it. Actually, it's very simple. Chu Tian looked over it. These runes were used incorrectly, causing the array to not work. This kind of modification will cause the weapon to be very unstable and it will cause the barrel to explode every time we test it. Saying this, he picked up a pen and changed several places. This should be fine. You can try it out. It was this simple. The Dongfang family researchers' eyes went wide. The calm martial ruler personally tested the modified source energy pistol, and in the end, it could fire bullets without any problems. Like this, the source energy weapon was perfected. Even if there was no energy magazine, a soldier's spirit energy could fire bullets. Of course, in this situation, the power of the bullet was related to the strength of the user. The calm martial ruler was very depressed. The people the Dongfang family invited were all famous array masters. There were even talents from other countries that they had spent a large amount of money on, but the problem that they couldn't understand was solved by Chu Tian with a single glance. Was the difference between people this big? If they wanted to develop the source energy weapon, they couldn't leave Chu Tian. We've already made 500 source energy pistols and the speed is increasing. We can now make 200-300 a day. The calm martial ruler introduced the factory to Chu Tian, but the source energy submachine guns have just been developed. It's actually this fast. It's still not fast enough. The calm martial ruler's eyes seem to be burning with flames. Once the daily production of source energy pistols reaches over 1,000 and the daily production of source energy submachine guns reaches over 300, the time is ripe. This ruler will personally lead the army north. What? The calm martial ruler was preparing to attack the Warhound plains. This was an explosive piece of news. The Warhounds tribe's internal strife has allowed southern Xia to store up their strength for 20 years. Now we have over 1 million soldiers on the battlefield, and with the source energy weapons, how could we not destroy a few Warhounds tribes? The calm martial ruler said this and suddenly looked at Chu Tian. This is a good chance to make a name for yourself. Are you interested? Why are you asking me? I don't know how to lead troops. This ruler will promote you to vice commander. You don't need to do anything else. After this battle, with your contribution in designing the source energy weapons, you will be granted a marquis title when you return to Imperial City. The calm martial ruler looked at Chu Tian and continued, you're still this young, it's not impossible for you to be granted a marquis title in the future. This is a good chance for you. Chu Tian gave a laugh, forget it. I'm not interested in fighting, and I'm even less interested in a marquis title. This was a meat pie falling from the sky for a chance. Chu Tian did not need to do anything, he just needed to follow the calm martial ruler to the front lines and he would be granted a marquis title. If Chu Tian could become the Southern Summer Marquis, naturally he would have his own state. Wouldn't that solidify his status? The Warhounds tribe couldn't take care of themselves, so they wouldn't be on guard against humans. If the Southern Summer Country launched a sneak attack at this time, they could easily take care of several tribes, so they had a high chance of winning this battle. Chu Tian did not want this job, it was unknown what he was thinking in his heart. The calm martial ruler said with a deep gaze, consider the pros and cons of this kind of chance doesn't come by often. Once you become a marquis, you will reach the heavens in a single step. Even the Southern Summer King will have to give you some respect, and Miracle Commerce's backing will be even stronger. Chapter 304. The people of Southern Xia regarded being conferred a marquis as the highest honor and achievement. Why did Central State's Chu Xinghe attract the attention of tens of thousands of people, and why people kept coming to join him? It was all because he was a person with the potential to be conferred a marquis. Once he was conferred a marquis in the future, everyone would benefit, so people would flock to him like ducks. A marquis could obtain a state's territory. The state's taxes and natural resources, other than a portion being given to the imperial region, the rest could be kept in their pockets. In other words, once one was conferred a marquis, they would not have to worry about food or clothing for the rest of their life. They could just lie down and earn a lot of money. Of course, in order to prevent the marquis from neglecting Enlu, the Southern Summer Country's hereditary system of nobility had conditions. The heir had to meet the requirements of strength, fame, and military merits to inherit their father's title, otherwise the title would be taken back by the kingdom. In other words, as long as the family was prosperous, the title could be passed down. Being conferred a marquis was not just an honor, it could also bring in large amounts of benefits, allowing the family to soar. Being conferred a marquis at such a young age was unprecedented in Southern Xia's history. Why did Chu Tian not care about it? The calm martial ruler was not a fool. He knew that Chu Tian's ambitions were not limited to a single country. If he was conferred a title, he would be restricted. Money, resources. Did miracle commerce lack them? This fellow was not someone who was greedy for fame, he would not take on extra responsibilities for no reason. If he couldn't keep this person for Southern Xia, it would be too much of a pity. Only he could not force him, otherwise it would be the opposite of what he wanted. The calm martial ruler could only stop here and not force him, hoping that he could think it through. Let's not talk about this matter for now. The calm martial ruler changed the topic. You've been in the limelight recently, aren't you afraid of attracting trouble? The calm martial ruler really knows how to joke. Chu Tian shrugged his shoulders and said with a helpless expression, actually there is no difference between being low-key and high-key for me. Since I've come out, there are some things I can't avoid. Miracle commerce and Chu Tian had offended the interests of quite a few people. These conflicts could not be avoided, it was not something Chu Tian could solve even if he wanted to. Since it was like this, why did he need to be afraid? You do have some awareness. The calm martial ruler declined to comment, however, remember, although the burning sun ruler and the refined ruler want to deal with you, they will not easily make a move against you. Why? These two people are different from the patriarchs of the Central Plains clans. You will naturally understand the reasoning behind this in the future. There is no need for me to explain any further. Your biggest problem right now isn't with these two, but with the Wang clan. What? Wang family? If the calm martial ruler had not said this, Chu Tian would have thought he was joking with him. Recently, the Wang family was like a street rat. They were in a sorry state and didn't have the strength to fight back. If this family really had great strength and power, how could they have fallen to such a sorry state? At this time, the calm martial ruler was already at the base. Looking up at the blue sky, he suddenly said in a meaningful voice, "Today's royal banquet is not simple, you need to be careful." After saying this, a blood-red griffin swooped down. The calm martial ruler jumped onto the griffin and flew to the north, heading in the direction of Imperial City. The calm martial ruler is being strange, as if he is hinting at something. Chu Tian asked Gu Qianqiu beside him, "Hey, do you know what he is referring to?" Gu Qianqiu said in a serious voice, "I think the calm martial ruler is warning us that this royal banquet is filled with hidden dangers." "Damn, are you a blockhead?" Chu Tian revealed a dissatisfied expression, "Am I a fool that can't even hear this? Can you say something I don't know?" Gu Qianqiu awkwardly wiped his sweat, "I spend most of my time in the research institute, so this old man doesn't know what is happening in the royal court. However, from what I know, there are two people that will appear in the royal banquet. The ones the calm martial ruler wants you to be wary of should be these two people." "Which two?" "The first is a first-grade military marquis, the departing flame marquis." "So it's him." The departing flame marquis had a high status. Not only was he a respected marquis, he was also the marshal of the departing flame army. This kind of marquis with military power was called a military marquis. Of the 8 marquises of the southern summer country, there were 4 marquises with ranks. Thunder State's Golden Arrow Marquis, Southern State's Western Marquis, and Sung State's Blue Cloud Marquis were all second-grade military marquises. Only the departing Flame Marquis was a first-grade military marquis. Central State's Marquis Shenfengho, Qing State's Greenwood Marquis, and the others had armies, but these armies could only be used to defend and could not be used to fight in other places. Then who is the second one? The Battle Dragon Army's young commander, Wang Tianlong. Chu Tian was not unfamiliar with the Wang family's history. This great summer royal family had declined a lot and had almost fallen several times, but the great summer royal family's blood was very strong, so their descendants had very high innate talents. Every time they were on the verge of extinction, there would always be a genius that would rise to carry the family's banner. Wang Tianlong's great-grandfather was an illustrious southern summer marquis, but there were no talents in the 2 generations, so the marquis inheritance was broken. Only when Wang Tianlong was born did the Wang family see hope again. This person had shown shocking talent since he was young. Not only was his cultivation talent high, he also had the ability to lead. He had been a general in the army at the age of 15 and had taken over the Wang family's battle dragon army at the age of 20. In the last 10 years, the army had become stronger and had gained more and more merit points, so it was worth paying attention to. Recently Chu Tian had made the Wang family miserable, so Wang Tianlong would not let him off. Gu Qianqiu immediately added, "But you don't need to worry too much. There is the calm martial ruler above and this old man below. Miracle commerce itself is not weak, so it is not easy to move against them. Come on." Chu Tian did not care about this at all. The royal palace was very lively. The palace doors opened one by one and there were countless beautiful maids busying themselves with decorations. A fiery red carpet was spread from the main hall to the outer palace doors. The royal knights were standing in a line of 2, with new armors and weapons, so they looked shiny. Each person was holding a griffin in their hands and their feathers were untainted by a speck of dust. They were standing straight like statues, as if they were welcoming a sacred moment. There were several ceremonial guards, holding ceremonial instruments, creating a very magnificent formation. The southern summer king Dongfang Hao was at the head, with the calm martial ruler Dongfang Gan, the burning sun ruler Nangong Yun, and the refined ruler Shengguan Sangfeng standing at the front. The other ministers and generals were standing behind them. "Why are you only here now? Quickly come over." Meng Yingying pulled Chu Tian over and said while scratching her head, "Something big is definitely going to happen today. Look at this scene, the honorable king and the 3 rulers have personally come out. This formation is truly frightening." The Meng Qinggu sisters, Nangong Yun, and Chen Bingyu, the 4 of them were all here. Meng Qinggu was as calm as usual, Meng Yingying's face was filled with excitement, and Chen Bingyu had a cold expression like she did not care about this matter. It was the normally lively Nangong Yun who was hiding behind the others, not daring to show herself. She was afraid of the burning sun ruler. Dong, dong, dong. Sir Departing Flame Marquis has arrived. Suddenly, a heaven-shaking drum sound rang out. Nangong Yun's face turned even paler and her fists tightly clenched. She couldn't help trembling, not knowing if it was from anger or fear. "Don't worry." Chu Tian walked over and patted Nangong Yun's shoulder, "You'll have to face this matter sooner or later. With me here, they won't be able to touch you." Nangong Yun was normally overbearing and strong, but now she was like a little white rabbit with a pitiful expression. Meng Qinggu comforted her, "Nangong, you are a member of our miracle commerce. Without our permission, no one can take you away from us." "That's right, that's right." Meng Yingying waved her fist, "Elder sister Nangong, just bring out your usual domineering aura. Everyone will support you." Nangong Yun's heart was very moved. What kind of power the Nangong family was, everyone was clear on it. In order to protect her, everyone did not hesitate to go against this giant. This made her feel grateful and guilty. Even with Miracle Commerce's current position against the Nangong family, they would still have to pay a heavy price. Was it worth it? Nangong Yun asked herself. Her position in the company was not irreplaceable. She could not be as smart as Meng Qinggu, she could not manage the entire company for Chu Tian. She was not as strong as Chen Bingyu, she could protect Chu Tian's safety and she did not have a special relationship with Chu Tian like Yingying. In Nangong Yun's eyes, she was dispensable to Miracle Commerce. With the sound of orderly footsteps, a group slowly came in. This group's equipment was very strange. Each person was wearing a thick heavy armor and their weapon was a giant sword that was as tall as a person. There were large amounts of flame runes engraved on the blade that released an incomparably hot energy. The Nangong family's famous departing flame army. The Nangong family was a family even older than the Great Summer Country. They were the descendants of the Phoenix and their bloodline contained a large amount of power. The Nangong family had a very important position in southern Xia because the Nangong family had many talented generals like clouds. The soldiers trained by the Nangong family were the trump card of southern Xia. The departing flame army had a terrifying battle strength. They were adopted when they were young and their bodies were tempered with special herbs, making their bodies as hard as stone and making them lose their sense of pain. Then they were instilled with a secret cultivation technique, which took around 10 years to complete. This secret technique passed down by the Nangong family overdrew the potential of the soldiers. These soldiers did not have a long lifespan and their growth limit was locked, but it ensured that the soldiers' battle strength was uniform. They had all reached the peak 9th body refinement layer and with special martial arts and equipment, the battle strength of these soldiers on the battlefield was enough to make the Warhounds tribe tremble in fear. In the past, the Blazing Flame Marquis led 80,000 of these soldiers and they were undefeatable. In a bitter battle 10 years ago, the Blazing Flame Marquis had died on the Warhounds' plains, but he had killed 3 times the number of Warhounds elites. The current departing Flame Marquis had this kind of army in his hands, which was the strongest heavy infantry of southern Xia. The departing Flame Marquis walked in the front with the Nangong family's unique red hair. His body was very well proportioned, not fat or thin, and his eyes were red like a burning torch. He was wearing a dark red scale armor on the inside and a fire red robe on the outside. As he walked, a strong wind blew, making people feel a wave of pressure like a wave of fire. 7 people were standing behind the departing Flame Marquis. 6 of them were high-level members of the Nangong family and retainers of the minister rank. They were all trusted generals of the departing Flame Marquis and they were all peak experts in the 9th awakened soul layer. The other one was a 16-17-year-old youth. From his red hair, it could be seen that he was also a descendant of the Nangong family and his appearance was 60 to 70% similar to the departing Flame Marquis. This youth was the departing Flame Marquis' most important son, the departing Flame Marquis' successor, Nangong Jian. Greetings to the king. Greetings to the ruler. The 8 people led by the departing Flame Marquis bowed. The several hundred departing flame soldiers all knelt down on one knee. The Southern Summer King and the 3 rulers gave a slight nod, especially the Burning Sun ruler who had a proud look on his face. This was the pride of their Nangong family. Chapter 305. The departing Flame Marquis was a first-grade military marquis, leading troops outside all year round. If there was nothing major, he could not easily return to Imperial City. There had to be something important happening today. Today was not a normal imperial banquet. Actually, some people had already noticed that there was a high platform in front of the royal palace. It looked like a platform for generals and a platform for rewards, but they did not know what it was used for. The departing Flame Army soldiers went to rest. The others continued to wait in place. At this time, the departing Flame Marquis looked over at Chu Tian like an eagle, falling onto Nangong Yun behind him. His eyes turned cold as he coldly said, "Nangong Yun, you are a descendant of the Nangong family, yet you are standing behind a bastard from a small clan. Not bowing to this marquis and not bowing to the ruler, you truly do not consider yourself a member of the Nangong family." With these words, everyone's attention was focused on him. During this boring wait, it wasn't bad to have a good show to watch. The Southern Summer King's eyes sparkled a few times, but he did not say anything. It seemed like he did not plan on interfering. Nangong Yun's expression was a bit unnatural. This was the family's most famous marquis and above him was the Nangong family's supreme Burning Sun ruler. The pressure Nangong Yun faced could be imagined. Greetings to the departing Flame Marquis. Nangong Yun was not a weak person, so he bravely stood up, greetings to the ruler. The Southern Summer King deliberately said, Burning Sun ruler, the Nangong family has such an outstanding descendant, so why has this king never seen him before? Nangong Yun is outside all year round, it is normal for your majesty not to have seen him before. The Burning Sun ruler's aura was like that of a lion, covering Nangong Yun with a pressure. It's not too late to come back now, don't make the same mistake again. The family has already recognized your potential, so this ruler can guarantee that as long as you come back, we will not make it hard for you. The Burning Sun ruler knew how important Nangong Yun was. This junior that was not valued by the Nangong family had actually become a high-level executive of miracle commerce. If he could grasp Nangong Yun in his hands, the Nangong family would have a way to infiltrate the fat head that was miracle commerce. I have good prospects in miracle commerce, so I don't have any plans to go back for now. Nangong Yun was truly worthy of being Nangong Yun. Even in front of the high-status Burning Sun ruler, she still dared to say these words, "Please be assured, ruler, Nangong Yun will forever be the descendant of the phoenix, this will not change even in death." The Burning Sun ruler knit his brows. What a joke! The departing flame marquis said with a cold laugh, "Do you think this is a negotiation? What you've done since you left the Nangong family has severely violated the rules and laws of the family. If you don't return to the family and ask for forgiveness, then I'll have no choice but to cripple you myself to restore the family's reputation." Humph, what an arrogant fellow. Your grandfather, Chu Tian, is here. How dare you threaten my people? If I don't teach you a lesson, you won't know how powerful I, Chu Tian, am. Chu Tian glanced at Gu Qianqiu and the others. The departing flame marquis is truly awe-inspiring. An old man holding a long staff walked out of the crowd. It wasn't anyone else, it was the great scholar Gu Qianqiu. Gu Qianqiu even dared to scold the calm martial ruler, not to mention a trivial departing flame marquis. It was not convenient for Chu Tian to appear, so it was best for him to speak. His Majesty and the Burning Sun ruler have not said anything about punishing her, but you want to cripple Nangong Yun. What qualifications do you have to do this? Or are you afraid of something? The Burning Sun ruler coldly looked at him. Don't you think the great scholar is meddling in the Nangong family's matters? Family matters? Is it really just a family matter? Gu Qianqiu said with a smile, this matter is not just your family matters, but rather it is a matter of the country, a matter of the world. This old man cannot turn a blind eye to this matter. The Burning Sun ruler's old face turned dark. This old mouth really knew how to speak nonsense. Anything could be pulled together by him, what fucking country matters was this? Gu Qianqiu righteously said, Nangong Yun is a genius of Southern Xia and her talent is rarely seen in my Southern Xia. However, because of the Burning Sun ruler's selfishness and the departing flame marquis' shameless actions, she has been excluded from Imperial City for 10 years. I want to ask everyone, how many decades can a genius have? Her golden years have been ruined by these fellows. Isn't this Southern Xia's sorrow? Isn't this Southern Xia's great loss? Southern Xia has been established for several hundred years, but there are many internal disasters and the warhounds outside. There are no geniuses and the palace is filled with rotten wood, it is all because of your despicable ways. This was not the first time Gu Qianqiu said these words, but this time he was saying them in front of the Southern Summer King and the Burning Sun ruler. This was slapping the Nangong family's face and slapping the Burning Sun ruler's face. It could be seen that the Burning Sun ruler's face was already dark. It was fine if it came from other people's mouths, but if it came from the great scholar's mouth, it would have a completely different meaning. With the great scholar's influence, scolding the Burning Sun ruler and the departing flame marquis would quickly spread across the country and it would be a large blow to the Nangong family. Family scandals could not be spread out. There was indeed something hidden in this matter. This old man has always been puzzled. Zhao Pu came out to add insult to injury. Nangong Yun has a rare god-level source spirit and would be heavily cultivated even in a large kingdom, but the Nangong family treats her like chicken ribs. Could it be that the Nangong family has so many geniuses that they can't accept a single god-level source spirit? Wrong. Another scholar came out. According to this old man's knowledge, Nangong Yun was a supporter of the Blazing Flame Marquis. When the Blazing Flame Marquis died in battle, before his heroic soul had even passed away and his corpse had not even turned cold, his influence was immediately cut down and many people with unlimited potential were expelled. Could it be that the Burning Sun ruler did not know? Not only did the Burning Sun ruler know, he even allowed this matter to happen. This kind of method is a disgrace to the spirits of the Blazing Flame army. The Nangong family's method is unfair. If the descendants of those who died in battle were like the blazing flame marquis, then who would die for the southern summer country? Immediately, a group of people began to shout out and the topic was placed on the sensitive blazing flame marquis. The burning sun ruler's anger almost burst out of his chest. The matter of the blazing flame marquis was something he would never forget, but now that these damn dogs had jumped out to bite him, he couldn't bite them back, right? In terms of arguing, he could not beat these people. It was fine if he didn't say anything, but once he did, they would find a flaw and he would be fiercely criticized. The departing flame marquis angrily said, "What kind of things are you, daring to slander the ruler?" Damn! This marquis did not provoke these mad dogs. What was wrong with these mad dogs? Why did they all come out to bite people? The departing flame marquis felt like he was surrounded by 10,000 dogs. He had just returned to Imperial City, so of course he did not know that in the Imperial City's royal court, most of the scholars were following Chu Tian. Right and wrong, it is in the hearts of the people. Gu Qianqiu loudly said, "Nangong Yun is not a direct descendant of the Burning Sun ruler, so the Burning Sun ruler deliberately pushed her away. Everyone knows about this biased heart, could it be something we made up?" Zhao Pu then added, "You've ruined Nangong Yun's life for 10 years, do you want to ruin her for the rest of her life?" Chu Tian was secretly happy. Not bad, not bad. These old men had a bit of battle strength, it was not in vain for Chu Tian to use them. These scholars were famous for being mad dogs in Imperial City. Whether it was a direct argument or a quibble, they were all experts. The Nangong family knew how strong these mad dogs were, so they kept their mouths shut. Even if they were angry, they did not dare talk back. Talking too much was a mistake. The Meng Qinggu sisters were very surprised. The Nangong family was too useless. The most troublesome Chu Tian did not even open his mouth and these old men had already beaten them to the point where they could not fight back. This kind of result was too boring. The Burning Sun ruler could not sit still as he said with a dark face, "Talent is not completely determined by one's source spirit and potential is not completely determined by one's talent. It is too obvious that you are changing the concept." The scholars wanted to fight back. Nangong Yun is a person of miracle commerce. No matter what the Burning Sun ruler says, we will not hand over Nangong Yun. A calm voice sounded out as Chu Tian walked out from the crowd, but if the Burning Sun ruler feels that the great scholar's words are biased, I have a way to solve this. This person was the famous Chu Tian. Chu Tian completely ignored the departing flame marquis's cold gaze and did not use sharp words to argue. It was useless no matter how good the argument was. The angrier the Nangong family was, the more trouble they would have in the future. Only by attacking the Nangong family from their roots could they achieve their best goal. So, Chu Tian looked over at Nangong Yun. "I think that miracle commerce is more suitable for my growth and the ruler wishes for me to accept the family's training. It is hard to choose between the two, so let's use strength to speak." Nangong Yun slammed her hammer on the ground and pointed a finger at Nangong Jian. Do you dare accept my challenge?" The Burning Sun ruler and the departing flame marquis were both stunned. Challenge? What was Nangong Yun thinking? Nangong Jian is one of the best descendants of the Nangong family and has received the best training from the Nangong family since he was young. As for me, I was not valued since I was young and was exiled to a small central state city 10 years ago. It was fortunate that I met Boss and Miracle Commerce that I was able to grow. Now, I want to use the results of Miracle Commerce's training in half a year to challenge the genius that my family has been training for over 10 years. If I win, it will prove my growth in Miracle Commerce and I will continue to stay in Miracle Commerce. The departing flame marquis asked in a deep voice, "What if I lose?" "I will return all of my shares in Miracle Commerce and will no longer have anything to do with Miracle Commerce. Then I will return to the Nangong family and you can deal with me as you wish." The faces of the Nangong family sunk. The meaning behind this was that no matter who won or lost, they could forget about touching Miracle Commerce. When the Southern Summer King saw this, he immediately came forward to mediate, today is a special day, why is everyone fighting until their faces are red? How about you give this king some face and let this matter end here? The refined ruler opened his mouth to say, 2 juniors are fighting, but with us watching, there won't be any problems. What is there to worry about? The Southern Summer King did not really want to stop them. He looked at the Burning Sun ruler beside him. The Burning Sun ruler said, the Nangong family does not fear challenges. Humph, a trivial cheap person wants to challenge me? Before the departing flame marquis could speak, Nangong Jian came forward. This battle is not only related to the Nangong family's dignity, it is also related to my personal dignity. I ask your majesty to give me a chance. Nangong Jian's eyes were filled with disdain. The two of them were around the same age. In Nangong Jian's eyes, Nangong Yun was just a lowly servant who often bullied and insulted her when they were young. Later, when Nangong Yun was tested to have a super strong talent, instantly overshadowing the other geniuses, Nangong Jian went crazy with jealousy. A lowly fellow from a branch family, how could he have such a strong bloodline? This was simply an unacceptable matter. The lucky thing was that Nangong Yun had followed her father and was sent to a small city. 10 years had passed and Nangong Jian was now a 7th awakened soul layer true soul expert. He was not inferior to Dongfang Haoran or Wang Tianlong, but the only thing he lacked was time. Nangong Jian was not even 20 years old. Dongfang Haoran was already 27 years old. Wang Tianlong was already 31 years old. Therefore, if Nangong Jian was given enough time, he was confident he could catch up to the so-called imperial city's 2 prides. In Nangong Jian's eyes, Dongfang Haoran and Wang Tianlong were qualified to be his opponents. As for this Nangong Yun, she was only fit to be stepped on. But speaking of this, in these 10 years, this ugly duckling of the past had turned into a beauty that could cause the downfall of a country. If he crippled Nangong Yun and turned her into his exclusive property, pressing her hot body under him every night, that would be a pretty good feeling. She couldn't have already slept with Chu Tian, right? It didn't matter, this girl's bloodline was not bad. Even if she was used as a reproductive tool, as long as she gave birth to a few good descendants, it would be enough to consolidate her position. When Nangong Yun felt Nangong Jian's gaze filled with obscenity, how could she not guess his intentions? The anger in her heart exploded. She had been bullied by this fellow for 10 years and now that 10 years had passed, she could finally personally take revenge. With the Burning Sun ruler and the departing flame marquis cultivation, they could see through this with a single glance. Nangong Yun was not weak, she was already in the 6th awakened soul layer. This person had a fire phoenix source spirit, so under normal circumstances, she could jump levels to fight. However, Nangong Jian was in the 7th awakened soul layer and it was not just a single level, it was the difference between the mid and late awakened soul layers. Was this gap that easy to cross? Not to mention, Nangong Yun only cultivated her family's cultivation technique, so she could not learn any core martial arts. Nangong Jian was a direct descendant, so naturally he would be heavily cultivated. Large amounts of materials were enough to create a high-level cultivation technique, so it was impossible for him to lose. So, the two of them agreed to this fight. The departing flame marquis softly said, "Don't waste time. I'll give you 5 moves to finish this fight." Nangong Jian cupped his fists to his father, understood. In front of the Southern Summer King, the 3 rulers, and countless people, this was a good chance to show off. If he could show off his strength, perhaps the Imperial City's twin prides would become the Imperial City's 3 prides. Did you hear that? Someone said he would defeat you in 5 moves. Chu Tian said to Nangong Yun, so, you have to be quick with your movements. Relax. Nangong Yun gave a laugh, for this kind of trash, I only need 1 move. That defensive cultivation technique could perfectly resist the attacks of cultivators of a higher level. It was definitely a super defensive cultivation technique. Among them, the three rulers and the Southern Summer King were especially shocked because the three of them could vaguely see that Nangong Yun's cultivation technique had not reached its peak. There was still room for improvement. Even if he already had such a defensive power at his current level, how terrifying would his defensive power be when he cultivated to the peak in the future? Nangong Yun laughed loudly and said, "Too weak." With just this bit of strength, he wanted to break through the starlight immortal body that boss taught him. Dream on. This defensive cultivation technique that made people drool, was it actually the starlight immortal body? There were quite a few people gathered information on miracle commerce. Chu Tian's starlight immortal body was not a secret, and almost every high-level member of miracle commerce practiced this cultivation technique. This cultivation technique was much stronger than they imagined. This cultivation technique could even become a sect or a family's inheritance technique. Nangong Jian flew into a rage out of shame. He wanted to be merciful and let her keep her beautiful and hot body so that he could enjoy it in the future. He never thought that this fellow would have some skills, actually blocking a true soul realm expert's attack. Since it's like this, then I'll let you see the Nangong family's true secret technique. Nangong Jia formed a seal with both of his hands. His thick origin energy burst out. It was as if he was standing on a volcano that was spewing out hot air. He soared into the sky while a large number of profound symbols moved around him like a torrential lava river that contained destructive power. The Nangong family's heaven-burning divine flame curse. The Southern Summer King's expression slightly changed. This was a secret technique of the Nangong family, and even in the Nangong family's direct bloodline, only a few people had the qualifications to learn it. This move was very strong, and when used with the heaven-burning art, it was enough to jump levels to kill a strong opponent. This move was very difficult to practice. The first requirement was to reach the perfection realm of the heaven-burning art. The Southern Summer family's inherited heaven-burning art was even more complicated than the Dongfang family's Grand Spirit secret art or the Shengguan family's life and death judgment. The number of people in the family that could reach the perfection realm could be counted on one's fingers. They never thought that the 20-year-old Nangong Jian would be able to do it. Nine Heavens divine flame, listen to my command, burn the heavens. The runes that were floating around Nangong Jian like a river all gathered in the palm of his right hand, finally compressing into a dazzling energy ball that was as bright as the sun. Meng Qinggu was very worried. "Chen Bingyu, if there is an accident, you have to make a move." Chen Bingyu nodded with a serious expression. Large amounts of snowflakes had already condensed around her body. Chu Tian's expression did not change. His jet-black eyes stared at Nangong Yun with a trace of surprise in his eyes. Everyone else was flabbergasted. No one had thought that this matter would develop to such an extent. "Nangong Yun, I'll give you another chance." Nangong Jian held the fireball filled with energy and looked at Nangong Yun with a victorious expression. "Either you become my maid or you turn to ashes in the divine flame." Nangong Yun closed her eyes and a red light soared into the sky. The fire phoenix's cry filled the nine heavens and a profound imprint appeared between Nangong Yun's eyebrows. There was no reply. But Nangong Yun's actions were the answer. Nangong Jian's face turned fierce as he roared, "Die!" That dazzling fireball turned into a beam of light. Even if steel touched this beam of light, it would instantly melt. This kind of energy charged at Nangong Yun with an unstoppable momentum. Nangong Yun suddenly opened her eyes, and like a fearless flaming bird, she unexpectedly rushed straight towards the beam of light. She's seeking death. Nangong Jian's strength is enough to kill an 8th awakened soul layer cultivator. When Nangong Yun touched the beam of light, the starlight was shattered and her body was covered in burns. No, this strength was too strong, the starlight immortal body could not block it. Chen Bingyu was about to make a move. Pa! A hand reached out and stopped Chen Bingyu. Chu Tian's eyes released a strange glow. "No rush, there's a change." Chen Bingyu looked at Chu Tian in confusion. Could he not see that Nangong Yun could not block it? This strength was too strong for her. In this short instant, Nangong Yun's body was pierced by the flames. Everyone sighed. With this kind of terrifying injury, this girl was dead for sure. It was a pity she was a genius. Turn to ashes. Nangong Jian wildly roared out. Who would have thought that at this moment, a resounding and resonant phoenix cry would come from the center of the pillar of fire. The originally perfectly straight pillar of fire suddenly exploded like fireworks. The flames quickly condensed into the shape of an incomparably large fire phoenix. The Southern Summer King and the three rulers were shocked. What is this? Nangong Yun stood in the center of the fire phoenix. Her body seemed like it had been burned, but there were golden flames coming from her body, making her look like an elemental life form. Those golden flames quickly solidified and turned back into delicate skin, not leaving a single scar. Even if she was bathed in a temperature that could melt steel, Nangong Yun was not injured at all. Rising from the ashes. The Burning Sun ruler's voice was a bit trembling, no. Undying bird. The Nangong family members all had the urge to kneel down in worship. Undying bird. This was the legendary Undying bird. Nangong Yun seemed to be completely immune to fire. Not only were the flames that bombarded Nangong Yun unable to cause any harm to Nangong Yun, they were all devoured by Nangong Yun and transformed into her own strength. Nangong Jian was completely stunned. When had he ever seen this kind of cultivation technique before? It's my turn. Falling Phoenix Strike. That giant fire phoenix flew out from Nangong Yun's body and quickly fell at Nangong Jian. This is bad. The Nangong family members were shocked. Nangong Yun's attack did not just contain all her strength, it also contained all the strength Nangong Jian had released. Not to mention an 8th awakened soul layer cultivator, even a 9th awakened soul layer cultivator would not be able to block it. Fast. Too fast. The divine phoenix spread its wings and instantly arrived. The departing flame marquis did not even have time to save his son. When Nangong Jian was about to be burned to ashes, a tall figure suddenly appeared in front of him. The Burning Sun ruler's thick right arm grabbed the fire phoenix's neck. This powerful fire phoenix was casually grabbed by the Burning Sun ruler and it could not move at all. The moment the fire phoenix was crushed by this irresistible strength, it gave a very angry roar and spat out a divine flame. It passed by the Burning Sun ruler and landed on Nangong Jian's body. Ah! A pitiful cry rang out. Nangong Jian was burned to ashes and he fell from the sky like a burning crow. No! The departing flame marquis flew into the air. Using Nangong Jian, he took out a bottle of precious medicine and poured it into his mouth. When he carefully checked his meridians, the departing flame marquis felt his body turn cold. Nangong Jian's body had almost been destroyed. Such a fierce fellow, I'll kill you. The departing flame marquis was about to make a move in his rage, but two figures came out at the same time and blocked the departing flame marquis. They were Gu Qianqiu and Qin Bingyu. Even if the departing flame marquis had a shocking cultivation base, facing two peak 9th awakened soul layer experts at the same time, he had no way of passing. At this time, the calm martial ruler could not sit still. With a gentle flick of his finger, a giant scarlet sword fell down from the clouds. It suddenly appeared between the two sides, stopping them from fighting any further. Admit defeat. The calm martial ruler coldly said, using the strong to suppress the weak is not the style of a military marquis. Everyone was shocked by the giant scarlet sword descending from the sky. This sword appeared in the air, but it made it hard for the great scholar, Qin Bingyu, and the departing flame marquis to move, as if they had been grabbed by an invisible hand. Too strong. The calm martial ruler's strength was unfathomable. Burning Sun ruler, do you also want to take revenge for your grandson? The Burning Sun ruler's eyes were very complicated, just like a defeated lion. He looked at Nangong Yun. Can you tell me, what secret technique did you just use? Chu Tian gave her a slight nod. This is not a secret technique, but rather a cultivation technique. Nangong Yun loudly said, This is the super cultivation technique boss gave me, the great Nirvana scripture. I've only just started learning it. Chapter 307. The Nangong family members were instantly petrified, as if they could not accept this kind of blow. As for the Southern Summer King, the calm martial ruler, the refined ruler, and the others, their expressions all changed. They knew what this meant. This was a cultivation technique, not a secret technique. The two were completely different concepts. Secret techniques were based on a cultivation technique and could be used as a move. Because of this, those that did not have a high growth rate would not change as their cultivation base and cultivation technique increased. Once they reached a certain level of cultivation, the good secret technique would become useless. Cultivation techniques were completely different. The main cultivation technique was a cultivator's foundation. A strong cultivation technique meant a strong cultivation, and a strong cultivation meant a strong cultivation technique. Increasing one's cultivation technique could increase one's cultivation base, but at the same time, a bottleneck in a cultivation technique could also increase one's cultivation base. A good cultivation technique had a deep influence on a cultivator's growth. The higher the cultivation technique, the higher the growth rate. So to a cultivator, choosing a cultivation technique was very important. A cultivation technique could accompany a cultivator for the rest of their life, becoming stronger with their cultivation base and not becoming more and more useless. Nangong Yun's trivial 6th awakened soul layer cultivation could already display this kind of destructive might. Then in the 9th awakened soul layer or the true spirit realm, what kind of realm would she reach? What made people feel even more suffocated was that Nangong Yun claimed that this cultivation technique was only at the entry level. Just the entry-level Great Nirvana scripture had already surpassed the peak realm of the Nangong family's ancestral cultivation technique burning the heavens art. Was this really a human cultivation technique? It was simply comparable to a demon god. This Great Nirvana scripture could be considered a peak-level cultivation technique even in the strongest empires on the continent. It was not inferior to the imperial family's secret techniques. Actually, Chu Tian was also very surprised. This Great Nirvana scripture was one of the few high-level cultivation techniques he had brought from the future. Although it was a bit inferior to Chu Tian's Demon God 9 transformations, it was still a peerless cultivation technique in this era. This cultivation technique was very hard to cultivate and it was not something that could be cultivated in a day. Chu Tian had already taught this cultivation technique to Nangong Yun, but he did not expect her to learn it immediately. According to Chu Tian's estimation, if Nangong Yun wanted to cultivate it, she would need to reach the true spirit realm. Moreover, the amount of materials needed to cultivate it was very terrifying. Even if the entire miracle commerce was emptied, it would not be enough. Not long ago when Dongfang Haoran challenged her, Nangong Yun had not completely grasped it. In just a few days, she had actually comprehended it. This was too mysterious. Nangong Yun's trivial 6th awakened soul layer cultivation had touched the threshold without any external help. Although he hadn't even reached the small success stage, he could already display a portion of the Great Nirvana scripture's power. This was inconceivable to Chu Tian. Impossible. At most, it would have an amplification effect on ordinary fire attribute techniques. A god-level source spirit was only a basic requirement for the Great Nirvana scripture. Nangong Yun's fire phoenix source spirit was a god-level source spirit, but her source spirit strength was not high, it could only be considered a low-grade god-level source spirit. Even if he was perfectly compatible with the cultivation technique, logically speaking, he shouldn't have been able to master it so quickly. It seemed like there was a problem with Nangong Yun's family bloodline. This family claimed to be the descendants of the Phoenix clan. Could it be that there was a peerless almighty ancestor in their clan that allowed their descendants to possess this kind of potential? Nangong Yun's luck was good, and her potential was stimulated, so she was lucky enough to grasp a bit of the Great Nirvana scripture's true power. Nangong Yun's potential was even higher than he had imagined. No matter what the reason was, Nangong Yun had successfully entered the sect. This was a fact that could not be changed. Chu Tian was well aware of the power of the great Nirvana scripture. After Nan Gongyun trained in this cultivation technique, he would be able to restrain all the flames in the world. Now that Nan Gongyun was in the awakened soul realm, she was almost immune to fire. The energy released by Nan Gongjian was unable to harm Nan Gongyun in the slightest. Instead, it increased Nan Gongyun's strength. This was just the beginning. If he could cultivate the great Nirvana scripture to the large success realm, then it could be said that Nan Gongyun was immune to all flames. No matter how high the temperature, no matter how strong the strength, trying to kill Nan Gongyun with flames was an impossible matter. If Nan Gongyun really had a lucky chance, she could cultivate the great Nirvana scripture to the peak. As long as she had a trace of strength, Nan Gongyun would have an immortal body. This was the reason why Chu Tian valued Nan Gongyun so much. When he decided to pass this cultivation technique to Nan Gongyun, Chu Tian had already decided to focus on training this person. With the power of this cultivation technique, she would be able to stand at the peak of the continent in the future. Nan Gongyun easily defeated Nan Gongjian, so she was filled with confidence. Even the strongest person in our family's younger generation is only this strong. If the family can take out a cultivation technique that is stronger than the starlight immortal body and the great Nirvana scripture, why else would they stop me from cultivating outside? The Nangong family were like deflated balloons. Dispirited, deeply dispirited. The ancient Nangong family had passed down their inheritance for countless years, but in the end, the cultivation technique they were so proud of was simply trash in front of them. The Burning Sun ruler's eyes completely changed as he asked with a serious expression, "Is this great Nirvana scripture really just the beginning?" I advised the Burning Sun ruler not to think about this cultivation technique. Chu Tian walked in front of the Burning Sun ruler and said, "Of course I can give this cultivation technique to you, but if you want to cultivate the great Nirvana scripture, the most basic requirement is to have a fire phoenix source spirit. In the entire Nangong family, only Nangong Yun has this kind of capital. What use is there in obtaining this cultivation technique? This kind of strong cultivation technique, if it falls into the hands of a small family, it will only bring disaster to you." What Chu Tian said was the truth. The Burning Sun ruler had already seen it. When Nangong Yun used the great Nirvana scripture, the power of the cultivation technique would merge with the fire phoenix's power. It could be said that people without a god-level source spirit would not be able to cultivate it, and the fire phoenix was the best among god-level source spirits. Nangong Yun was simply a cultivator chosen by the heavens. It was no wonder that Chu Tian valued her so much. The Burning Sun ruler had to admit that with a single mistake in the past, the Nangong family had lost a peerless genius. Because of that one mistake in the past, this peerless genius had met a rare heaven and earth master. Under this heaven and earth master's transformation, her light would shine 10,000 times brighter in the future, leaving the so-called Burning Sun ruler far behind. One day, the Phoenix Undying family's ultimate power would awaken in her body. The departing flame Marquis thoughts were completely different. He was filled with anger and resentment. "Ruler, the most outstanding member of our family's third generation has been destroyed. How could we just swallow this insult?" "Shut up. A loss is a loss. The Nangong family can afford to lose." The Burning Sun ruler angrily rebuked and then seemed to age a lot. After all, Nangong Jian was one of his most promising grandsons. He looked at Nangong Yun. "I hope you remember your words." Nangong Yun nodded. "I will forever be the Phoenix Undying successor." When the departing flame Marquis saw this, he understood the Burning Sun ruler's thoughts. Nangong Yun's future was not simple, and the Burning Sun ruler could not bear to kill this genius. "Humph, goodbye." The departing flame Marquis angrily waved his sleeve and left with Nangong Jian. The refined ruler looked at the Burning Sun ruler's expression and gave a long sigh in his heart. Old man Nangong was really old. He looked at Chu Tian and his mind turned, feeling very confused. Just how many secrets was this person hiding? The Southern Summer King had a very serious expression. Although he had controlled the country for over 20 years, this kind of matter had never happened before. Chu Tian, Nangong Yun, and Miracle Commerce, there were too many things that he could not control. This made the Southern Summer King feel a bit uncomfortable. Nangong Yun's performance has made everyone look at her in a new light. The Southern Summer King did not show his worry. These complicated things could be thought through in private. He had to act normal right now. With such a genius, how could the kingdom not use her? Someone, make Nangong Yun an honorary knight of the Royal Knights. She will be rewarded with 10 soul weapons, 10 sacred pills, and 10 boxes of precious medicine. I hope that you will continue to work hard and add to the glory of Southern Xia. My king is wise. The crowd shouted one after another. It would be a waste not to take something that was given to him for free. Nangong Yun very straightforwardly thanked him. Meng Yingying took off her cloak and put it on Nangong Yun. After all, after the battle, Nangong Yun's top-quality soul weapon armor had been burnt. If this went on, her body would be exposed. Elder sister Nangong fought too beautifully. Meng Yingying looked at her with a face filled with worship. You are definitely stronger than that fellow Chu Tian right now. Cool. Chu Tian gave a cough. You little girl, do you know how to speak? Meng Yingying stuck out her tongue. That's right. The current Chu Tian did not have a high chance of winning against Nangong Yun. When this matter came to an end and everyone let out a sigh of relief, a sharp cry suddenly came from above their heads. A large group of flying demon beasts flew over at a low altitude and countless flower petals fell down. They're here. The Southern Summer King's eyes lit up and he immediately waved his hand, prepare to welcome them. The guards of honor on both sides began to play music. A series of thumping sounds came from the front. Each beat was like a heavy hammer hitting the ground. They could clearly feel the powerful strength that made people's hearts tremble. In front of everyone's curious eyes, a large group of black figures appeared in front of them. This was a cavalry unit, but they were not riding normal horses, they were not even Azure Storm colts. They were massive magical beasts covered in pitch-black scales that looked like armor. Meng Yingying's little face was filled with shock. Aren't these earth dragons? There are so many earth dragons. Meng Qinggu also found this hard to believe. Earth dragons were level 2 demon beasts and were creatures with a dragon's bloodline. The purer the bloodline, the stronger they were. There were some earth dragons with noble bloodlines that could easily grow to level 3 demon beasts. These earth dragons' bloodlines were not high, but they were at least level 2 demon beasts, equivalent to human void soul realm cultivators. It would not be strange if there was only 1 or 2 of them. Now, the entire cavalry unit was riding earth dragons. This was an earth dragon cavalry unit that had never been heard of before. Even in the future, earth dragons were often trained to be demon beasts as mounts. They had high defense, strong innate bravery, and good endurance. They could listen to commands and were a rare mount for the battlefield. Whether it was in the field or in a siege, the earth dragon cavalry was perfect. How could Southern Xia have such a strong earth dragon cavalry unit? Southern Xia's Azure Storm cavalry was far inferior, only the Griffin Knights could fight them. Only the Griffin Knights were not large and their numbers were not as large as this earth dragon cavalry unit. The Griffin Knights were the royal palace's knights, responsible for protecting the imperial city and the royal palace. Then what was going on with this unit? Chu Tian could feel the smell of blood from afar. Compared to the Griffin Knights, this earth dragon cavalry unit had been on the front lines for a long time, fighting against the warhounds. Battle Dragon Army! Battle Dragon Army! The crowd began to shout. 10 years ago, when the Blazing Flame Army was annihilated, it was the Battle Dragon Army that replaced the Blazing Flame Army, defending the front lines of the northern battlefield. Otherwise, the Warhound's nomadic cavalry would have already come to the Imperial region to plunder. In the past 10 years, the Battle Dragon Army had repelled the Warhounds several times. Their merits were outstanding and their battle results were glorious, so they had a high reputation in Southern Xia. An earth dragon that was different from the rest slowly walked out. The bloodline of the earth dragon could be distinguished by its appearance. The Earth Dragon with the lowest bloodline was the black-scaled Earth Dragon, followed by the red-scaled Earth Dragon, and finally the golden-scaled Earth Dragon. In this cavalry unit, almost all of them were black-scaled Earth Dragons. This kind of Earth Dragon beast had a limited room to grow. It was almost impossible for it to become a level 3 demon beast. Right now, the Earth Dragon in the lead had dark red scales mixed with light golden veins, making it look especially dignified and noble. This was an Earth Dragon with a very pure bloodline. If it was properly nurtured, it might become a level 3 magical beast in the future. A handsome youth was standing on the back of the Earth Dragon, holding a golden spear in his hand. His dark golden armor was glowing and his golden cloak was flying high in the air, just like a bright-colored flag. His feet gently stepped off and he flew off the Earth Dragon's back. Like a golden meteor, he instantly fell to the ground, raising a layer of dust. The Battle Dragon Army's young commander Wang Tianlong greets His Majesty. After the departing Flame Marquis returned with his army. Wang Tianlong also returned with his army. One wave had yet to subside, and another wave had arisen. Chapter 308. The young man's voice was resonant and vigorous. Although he wasn't old, he was extremely mature, and his entire body contained a fierce might. He was like a sharp sword that killed people like scything flax, and could be unsheathed at any time. He was also like an incomparably sturdy golden bell, and his entire body was impeccable, causing others to be unable to find any flaws. Behind the Battle Dragon Army's young commander Wang Tianlong, there were 4-5 Ninth Awakened Soul Layer vice-generals, including Wang Tu who had been messed around with by Chu Tian. Enemies are bound to meet. This made Chu Tian and the others very depressed. Our main character is finally here, ha ha ha. The Southern Summer King threw everything to the back of his head and gave a clear laugh. General, please rise. It's been hard on you. Everyone muttered in their hearts. Could it be that they had made such a scene just for this Wang Tianlong? Wang Tianlong modestly cupped his hands in obeisance. This lowly general has neither merit nor virtue. I dare not accept such a big gesture. Chu Tian thought to himself, what are you pretending for? Didn't you lead the Earth Dragon cavalry into the city in such a high-profile manner to let the whole city know that you're back? In the end, you're pretending to be modest. General has both integrity and talent, being a pillar of the Southern Summer Country. The Southern Summer King supported him with a smile, attacking the war hounds in the north, intimidating the troops. Your achievements cannot be erased. The most rare thing is that you are only 31 years old, your future is boundless, your future is boundless. Wang Tianlong was neither servile nor overbearing. Guarding Southern Summer is my responsibility. Merit must be rewarded. How could this king be a heartless person? The Southern Summer King asked, I've heard that General's cultivation has increased again. I, Wang Zhe Pai's subordinate, was lucky enough to break through. Wang Tianlong's reply caused all the officials to be shocked. Broke through. Wang Tianlong had always been in the Ninth Awakened Soul Layer, which meant that he had reached the peak Ninth Awakened Soul Layer. Southern Xia had gained another expert. This was indeed a joyous occasion. Wang Tianlong was well versed in both the pen and the sword. He could become a pillar of the imperial court or ensure the peace of an area. He could also serve as a general and gallop on the battlefield to cut down enemies and break formations. All right. Good. All right. The Southern Summer King called out 3 times, the general has not let down this king's expectations. The refined ruler has read this king's royal proclamation. Understood. The refined ruler took the royal proclamation from the hands of the 2 ceremonial officials, walked to the high platform, and raised the shining royal proclamation high up. When everyone saw this scene, they couldn't help but widen their eyes. One of the 3 rulers, the refined ruler, was personally reading the royal proclamation. This was a bit too much. The Battle Dragon Army's young commander Wang Tianlong, taking command at a young age, fighting against the Warhounds for 10 years, fighting over 90 large and small battles, killing over 800,000 Warhounds, establishing an indelible military merit for Southern Xia and becoming a role model for the younger generation of Southern Xia. This king announces that Wang Tianlong will be granted a second-grade military marquis title, with the title of Heroic Martial Marquis. In the imperial region, Zhang State, and Warhounds, there will be a total of 42 cities within 8,000 miles, with a total population of 30 million. They will all be under the direct control of the Heroic Martial Marquis. Boom! The ceremonial music rang out. Everyone cheered. There was indeed a reason for such a magnificent lineup. After so many years, Southern Xia finally had another marquis. The Heroic Martial Marquis, Wang Tianlong, was in his early 30s and was ranked among the Southern Summer Marquis. Reaching the peak of power was something rarely seen in the history of Southern Xia. But towards the Southern Summer King's decision, whether it was the ministers, the generals, or the normal citizens, no one objected to it. Wang Tianlong was a general with real power. He had been rushing to the battlefield since he was in his 20s, and he had made great contributions in the past 10 years. His own strength was enough to rank him as a marquis, and this time, he was bestowed a marquis land. Thank you, my king. Wang Tu and the other deputy generals already knew this result. When they saw that their young master was officially conferred the title of marquis, they excitedly knelt down and kowtowed. The Wang clan had been conferred marquis 3 times, walking on the path of glory once more. The Heroic Martial Marquis was only 30 years old. In the next 70 years, he would be able to lead the Wang clan to glory, becoming an illustrious existence second only to the 3 great clans of Southern Xia. Wang Tianlong gave a slight bow to receive the royal proclamation before respectfully bowing to the 3 rulers and the Southern Summer King. From the beginning to the end, there was not much change in his expression. He was calm and composed, like an old man who had seen through fame and fortune. The Southern Summer King announced the beginning of the title ceremony. Another marquis was added to the Southern Summer 8 marquises. Another of the Southern Summer 8 states had been added. The Heroic Martial Marquis, Wang Tianlong, received his marquis seal in front of countless envious and praising gazes. This was the 9th marquis of the kingdom, directly becoming a second-grade military marquis. His status was even higher than Central State's Shenfeng Ho and Qing State's Greenwood Marquis. The Heroic Martial Marquis has been conferred, the entire nation will celebrate. I wish Southern Xia long life. The royal palace banquet was to celebrate the Heroic Martial Marquis conferment, with the Heroic Martial Marquis being the main character. This young man had been conferred the title of marquis, full of vigor. With an army in his hands, he was full of vigor. What more could he ask for in life? Everyone congratulated the Heroic Martial Marquis and the ministers were even more courteous. Even the scholars on Chu Tian's side had to respect Wang Tianlong. These scholars, who looked like mad dogs, were actually only concerned about the matter and not the people. Wang Tianlong's contributions to Southern Xia were clear to all. He was able to guard the front lines at such a young age, with outstanding military merits, making people worship him. Now that he was a marquis, his status naturally rose. They understood. The calm martial ruler had said that the Wang family was Chu Tian's biggest problem. This fellow was simply invulnerable. He had an ancient royal family background, a cultivation talent comparable to Dongfang Haoran, and a military strategy comparable to the calm martial ruler. He had outstanding military merits, a great reputation, and now he had become the Heroic Martial Marquis. This person had a very calm personality, not like Chu Xinghe who showed off his abilities. He was not like normal geniuses who were arrogant and despotic, so it was not easy to deal with him. Meng Yingying was very happy attending the royal banquet, but now she felt very uncomfortable. Meng Qinggu felt like she was sitting on pins and needles. Recently the Wang family had been cursed by the citizens, mainly because Wang Tianlong had not returned to Imperial City. Now the situation was completely different. Not only had Wang Tianlong returned, he had also been conferred the title of Heroic Martial Marquis. The Wang family was filled with pride and all the negative influences disappeared with the conferment. In the near future, the heroic martial Marquis Wang Tianlong would become the new favorite of Imperial City and Chu Tian's limelight would fall. Meng Qinggu knit her brows when she thought of this. She felt that everything had been planned. The Southern Summer King had purposely promoted the heroic martial Marquis to suppress Chu Tian's arrogance and give Chu Tian a large amount of pressure. Chu Tian's miracle commerce was only a company. The heroic martial Marquis Battle Dragon Army was the pillar supporting Southern Xia. If the heroic martial Marquis and Chu Tian fought, it was hard to say which side the citizens would stand on. Although Meng Qinggu suspected that the Southern Summer King was deliberately targeting Chu Tian, she had no reason to doubt him. Whether it was Wang Tianlong's strength, fame, contributions, or qualifications, he had been conferred the title of Marquis, so there was nothing to criticize about it. The royal banquet was halfway through and the Southern Summer King raised his cup. The heroic martial Marquis has just been conferred the title and the state has not yet been established. If you have any requests, just ask this king. As long as it can be satisfied, I will definitely satisfy you. This general is leading an army, so the state is useless and it is dispensable. Wang Tianlong gave a deep bow to the Southern Summer King. There are two small matters that I hope your majesty can help with. Oh. What is it? The first matter is that there have been rumors in Imperial City recently. The Wang family's several hundred-year reputation has been tarnished, so this general would like a chance to wash away this insult. The Southern Summer King's expression slightly changed. Heroic martial Marquis, you are. The second matter is that this general has been away for many years, so I have no time to manage the family's internal affairs. Because of this disturbance, the elders of the family have discussed it and hope that this general will marry a wife. So, I hope your majesty will bestow this marriage and allow the Miracle Commerce chairman Meng Qinggu to marry this general. Meng Qinggu's fists suddenly clenched. She never thought that Wang Tianlong would make this kind of request to the Southern Summer King. Chu Tian pulled back the angry Meng Yingying, eat your food. It's fine, I'll take care of it. Meng Yingying did not have any status. If she jumped out to speak, it would only attract trouble. The Southern Summer King would not agree to this kind of request, otherwise he would be completely offending Chu Tian. With Chu Tian's personality, it was even possible for him to leave Southern Xia. The calm martial ruler and the great scholar would not agree to this. The Southern Summer King revealed an awkward expression. This king can send a royal proclamation to the world to remove the Wang family's influence, but the second matter. The royal proclamation represents the king's words, how could it be casually sent out? Wang Tianlong said, my clan has been humiliated, so my clan will take revenge. Wang Tu cupped his fists as he walked out and arrogantly said to Chu Tian, Miracle Commerce has insulted me for a long time, causing the Wang family to suffer large losses. My request is not high, as long as you kneel down and apologize to me and accept the Wang family's marriage proposal, this matter will be over. I, Wang Tu, and the Wang family will guarantee that we will not pursue this matter. Once again, everyone's eyes fell onto the Miracle Commerce people. Chu Tian swirled the amber wine in his cup. What if I don't agree? Wang Tu said with a cold smile, don't agree. Then you'll take back your reputation as a martial artist. Chu Tian put down the wine cup. What do you want to do? Wang Tu looked at Chu Tian. I want to challenge you. Everyone instantly went into an uproar. Gu Qianqiu angrily stood up. General Wang Tu is a respected ninth awakened soul layer cultivator, publicly challenging a junior. This is clearly bullying the weak. Is this the so-called martial artist style? You are not taking back your reputation, rather you are humiliating yourselves. No matter who wins or loses, you will be laughed at by the world in the end. The calm martial ruler also said, using strength to bully the weak, losing the style of a great general. Using strength to bully others, you have let down my king's grace. Wang Tu's face turned green and white. The calm martial ruler's attitude was very clear. If you did this, you would be going against your own status and not giving the Southern Summer King face. How could the calm martial ruler not give face? Whether it was the Battle Dragon Army, the Departing Flame Army, or the Storm Cavalry, they were all under the calm martial ruler's command. They were only responsible for their own battlefields, and the calm martial ruler was the highest military commander in southern Xia. Wang Tu was not willing. But the enmity of his mount being killed and his reputation being tarnished, if he couldn't take it back, how could he let go of this hatred? If he didn't take this chance, with Chu Tian's growing status, it would be hard for him to get another chance in the future. Whether he could take back his reputation or not, it didn't matter now. As long as he took this chance to teach Chu Tian a lesson, or even personally cripple him, that was enough. Challenge miracle commerce? A mysterious black-robed woman stood up. She had a graceful figure with perfect and alluring curves. She was a mature woman with an excellent figure. From under the black veil, a cold voice came out, "Fine, I'll fight you." This was the first time everyone noticed the mysterious black-veiled woman. Chen Bingyu had always been low-key. Chen Bingyu had always been wearing a black veil, looking like she didn't eat the food of mortals, even at the banquet. Chen Bingyu had been sitting beside Chu Tian the entire time, not drinking a single drop of food or drinking a single drop of wine. She didn't even say half a word, she was simply like an ice sculpture. Now that Chen Bingyu had appeared, a cold aura suddenly filled the hall, making everyone's hearts filled with shock. Such a cold current. Such a strong aura. This person's cultivation was unfathomable. The Burning Sun ruler said in a shocked voice, "You're Chen Bingyu." The Burning Sun ruler was not too clear on this woman's background. She seemed to be an outsider who had wandered into the southern summer imperial city. Because she had a shocking talent, she was recruited by the Nangong family a long time ago. She had always been a guest official with the Nangong family, finally being promoted to an official, having a status equal to a senior elder. Only the Nangong family all had fire-attributed source spirits, but Chen Bingyu's source spirit and cultivation technique were both ice-attributed. Chen Bingyu did not receive any cultivation technique pointers from the Nangong family, she only completed missions for the Nangong family to obtain cultivation resources, cultivating by herself from start to finish. Even like this, she had reached the true soul realm. Her cultivation talent was not inferior to the imperial city's two prides. When Chen Bingyu entered the true soul realm, she finally reached a bottleneck. In order to find a way to break through, she proposed leaving the Nangong family. The Burning Sun ruler felt that Chen Bingyu was a talent and had a lot of room for growth, so he agreed to Chen Bingyu's request. He never would have thought that after Chen Bingyu left Imperial City for so many years, when she returned, she would become a bodyguard by Chu Tian's side. From this aura, could she be in the peak 9th awakened soul layer? The Burning Sun ruler revealed a look of shock. Her growth speed was too fast. Chapter 309. There were two reasons why Chen Bingyu left the Nangong family. The first reason, which was also the main reason, was naturally for his own cultivation. The second reason, although it was a secondary reason, it was not a small one. That was because Chen Bingyu was a guest official of the Blazing Flame Marquis branch. When the Blazing Flame Marquis died in battle, Chen Bingyu had personally witnessed the Blazing Flame Marquis trusted aides being stripped of their family's core power and even being sent to different places. Even a talented person like Nangong Yun was not an exception. Chen Bingyu felt a chill in her heart, so she said goodbye to the Burning Sun ruler. The Burning Sun ruler was very clear on the family's situation. On one hand, he was thinking of Chen Bingyu, and on the other hand, he wanted to quickly settle the family's situation. So, he easily agreed to Chen Bingyu and did not give her any restrictions, allowing her to completely separate from the Nangong family. But towards the Burning Sun ruler, Chen Bingyu was still a bit grateful. If she had not been a guest official of the Nangong family and received the Burning Sun ruler's attention, Chen Bingyu would not have had enough resources to reach the true soul realm. She would not have had the chance to meet Chu Tian in Central State and follow by Chu Tian's side, becoming Chu Tian's right-hand man. Chen Bingyu simply cupped her hands to the Burning Sun ruler. Greetings to the Burning Sun ruler. The Burning Sun ruler knew that Chen Bingyu was by Chu Tian's side, but seeing it with his own eyes, he was still very shocked. This kind of cold and arrogant girl was actually accepted by Chu Tian as a guard. This Chu Tian was truly outstanding. Chen Bingyu's cold eyes stared at Wang Tu. Tell me, how do you want to fight? Wang Tu's expression turned even more constipated. Wang Tu had guessed that Miracle Commerce had a very strong expert, but he never would have thought that this person would be this strong. She was actually in the peak 9th awakened soul layer. The most terrifying thing was that this girl was still young, only a few years older than Wang Tianlong. She was also a genius that was not inferior to the imperial city's two prides. Why was she willing to be a bodyguard by Chu Tian's side? It was really puzzling. It was hard to stop riding a tiger at this time. If he still had the dual-winged poison dragon mount, he had confidence in fighting a peak 9th awakened soul layer expert. Now that his mount had been killed, his battle strength had been greatly reduced. He had no confidence in fighting Chen Bingyu. Chen Bingyu's cold eyes did not change, but it gave off an aggressive feeling, only daring to challenge people with lower cultivations and cowering in front of people with higher cultivations. Are the Southern Summer generals as weak as you? When these words sounded, Wang family's people all stood up in anger. This was simply a public humiliation. Ha ha ha, why does Sister Bing have to make things difficult for this fellow? The other party is challenging me, not Miracle Commerce, so there's no need for Sister Bing to make a move personally. Under the astonished gazes of the crowd, Chu Tian laughed and walked over. I can accept the challenge of the Wang family, but I have one request. Wang Tu was delighted. What do you want? The Wang family can challenge me. Chu Tian pointed at Wang Tuesday, but you are not qualified. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Wang Tu was still a Southern Summer general, how could he not have the qualifications? Chu Tian did not give them a chance to speak. I have never slandered you. I know what I have done clearly. I will accept the Wang family's challenge, but I will not accept the so-called reputation. As for a waste that doesn't dare admit what he did, why should I fight him? Then who do you want to fight? If you have the guts, fight me. Wang Tianlong and the other vice-generals all stood up. You are not qualified. Chu Tian's words shocked everyone to death. Then he pointed at Wang Tianlong, the heroic martial marquis, do you dare fight me? Chen Bingyu was stunned. The Meng Qingwu sisters were stunned. The Southern Summer King, the three rulers, and everyone else were all stunned. Everyone suspected that there was a problem with their ears. Chu Tian had jumped over Wang Tu and avoided the other prizes to challenge the heroic martial marquis. Did he know how strong the heroic martial marquis was? The heroic martial marquis had just broken through to the peak 9th awakened soul layer not long ago, but his battle strength was not at the bottom of the Southern Summer marquises. He could even be considered one of the best. Wang Tianlong was known as one of the two prides of Imperial City. He was a genius and had been on the battlefield for many years. When he was in the 9th awakened soul layer, he had fought with the Warhounds tribe's peak 9th awakened soul layer experts several times. This kind of incomparably strong person, with Chu Tian's trivial 6th awakened soul layer cultivation challenging him, wasn't this the same as sending himself to death? Wang Tu was also stunned. Could it be that Chu Tian knew that he would lose no matter who he fought, so he decided to challenge someone with a greater reputation so that he could lose with more dignity? If this was the case, why would he personally come out? Wouldn't it be better to let Chen Bingyu block this calamity? Wang Tianlong straightforwardly stood up. The Battle Dragon Army has never rejected a challenge. President Chu has taken the initiative to challenge me, so how could I not fight? If I win, you will satisfy the Wang family's request, including handing over Meng Qingwu. The heroic martial marquis agreed. Meng Qingwu's face sunk and she tightly clenched her fists, feeling very angry. Chu Tian laughed and said, "The young miss is not my personal property, not to mention that I will not use her as a gambling stake. If I lose, I will give you the shares of Miracle Commerce." Meng Qingwu's body slightly trembled. Chu Tian had close to 70% of Miracle Commerce's shares. He would rather hand over half of Miracle Commerce than call out Meng Qingwu. It had to be known that the current Miracle Commerce was not the same as before. Everyone's eyes turned red. Chu Tian was equivalent to giving the company to the Wang family. Chu Tian then added, "If I win, I want you to give up your heroic martial marquis title." "All right." Wang Tianlong agreed. "You two are pillars of the country, why are you fighting over a small misunderstanding?" The calm martial ruler mediated, "This is a great celebration, this ruler does not want it to become a joke to the people of the country." Gu Qianqiu broke out in a cold sweat and said, "This old man also thinks the calm martial ruler's words are reasonable. Can this kind of gambling stake be casually placed? Even if you don't care, you still have to consider the impact. Calm martial ruler, great scholar, what are you worried about?" The refined ruler gave a few soft laughs. "Scholar Chu is fighting the strong as the weak, so he must be very confident. Why don't you open everyone's eyes? Even if you lose, you can leave behind a story of a brave warrior. This is an unprecedented gamble. This ruler thinks that as long as we don't harm each other's lives, this kind of competition is in line with the Southern Xia style." The Burning Sun ruler tightly knit his brows. He felt that this matter was wrong, but he didn't know who to help. Actually, the Burning Sun ruler had a bit of selfishness in his heart. If Chu Tian fell because of this, wouldn't Nangong Yun have to return to her family? The Nangong family had not recovered in the last 10 years, and the third generation's most outstanding Nangong Jian had a hard time recovering. If Nangong Yun was willing to return, she could revive her family. The Southern Summer King weighed the pros and cons. The refined ruler's words are reasonable. As long as we don't harm each other's lives, this bet can be reduced a bit, but there is no need to be so extreme. The Southern Summer King wanted to see a balance between the two sides. Letting Wang Tianlong rebalance Imperial City's situation would make Chu Tian restrain himself. Moreover, with Wang Tianlong suppressing Miracle Commerce, the royal family's requests for Miracle Commerce would be easier to negotiate. If Chu Tian was reckless and lost Miracle Commerce, the Wang family would not be able to eat it and they would not dare eat it alone. The Southern Summer King could take advantage of this. This was a large piece of fatty meat. A battle between Chu Tian and Wang Tianlong? It could only be treated as a joke. Even Central State's Shen Fengho was not a match for the heroic martial marquis. The heroic martial marquis was at least in the top 3 of the 9 marquises. The old royal family's strong bloodline and inheritance allowed Wang Tianlong to look down on geniuses of the same level. A trivial 6th awakened soul layer cultivator, no matter how monstrous or talented he was, he could not cross this gap. Although he did not know where Chu Tian's confidence came from. But there would not be any suspense in this battle. The reason why Nangong Yun was able to defeat Nangong Jian was largely due to her cultivation technique. This cultivation technique was able to nullify fire-attributed attacks, and it could even absorb the opponent's attacks for her own use. If her opponent was ice-attributed, it would be hard to say who would win. Chu Tian would definitely lose this battle. But whether it was Chu Tian or the heroic martial marquis, they were both very important people. The Southern Summer King allowed them to compete in secret, but he would not allow them to fight with their lives on the line. With the calm martial ruler here, there was no need to fear any accidents happening. The royal palace's arena. Wang Tianlong held a dark golden spear as he walked forward. This spear was not a normal weapon, rather it was a weapon passed down from the old royal family. It was called the Dragon Aura Spear. The materials for this spear were said to have been dug out from a giant dragon's cave. The giant dragon had lived in the cave for over 100 years and its dragon aura was constantly sprayed on the walls of the cave, melting the metal ores and refining it, finally forming the dragon aura iron. The dragon breath iron was a precious grade 3 half-saint material and was obtained by the royal family of the Grand Xia dynasty. The royal family of the Grand Xia dynasty sought out a famous foreign craftsman and finally succeeded in forging an extremely powerful half-spiritual soul tool, which was this dragon breath spear. This spear's might could not compare to a true soul-contracting weapon, but it was not something a normal soul-contracting weapon could compare to. It said that this spear contained the power of a dragon's aura. Each stab of the spear could easily destroy an awakened soul cultivator's protective spirit energy fire defensive cultivation technique. 3 years ago, Wang Tianlong had used his 9th awakened soul layer cultivation to kill a peak 9th awakened soul layer warhound's expert with a single stab. Other than his own strength that allowed him to jump levels, a large part of it was because of the might of this spear. What did Chu Tian count for? Under the dragon aura spear, there would be nothing left. Chu Tian's defeat was inevitable. The only suspense was whether the calm martial ruler would be able to save him in time. The calm martial ruler's strength was the strongest in the southern summer country, so killing Chu Tian under his eyes would be a very difficult matter. But the battlefield was constantly changing. Once he killed Chu Tian with a single stab, Wang Tianlong did not believe that the Southern Summer King would dismiss him because of this. Why isn't Chu Tian here yet? He issued the challenge himself. Would he be afraid at this crucial moment? While everyone was discussing this, Chu Tian was wearing a top-grade soul-contracting armor and holding the Netherworld sword as he walked forward. There was a white fox on his shoulder and 18 black-clothed people following behind him. Wang Tu angrily said, "What is the meaning of this? Could it be that you can borrow external strength in a duel?" Chu Tian looked at Wang Tu with disdain. "Dare I ask General Wang Tu, have you ever used a mount in a duel before?" As soon as Wang Tu heard the word mount, his eyes spat fire. "This general and my mount have been working together for more than 20 years. I've long since become one with my mount. My martial techniques and combat techniques are in perfect harmony. Soldiers and their mounts are a single entity, so why can't I bring it along?" Chu Tian rubbed the little fox's head and said, "This spirit beast has grown up with me and we have already established a spirit beast contract. We are already connected by flesh and blood, so we are a single entity." The little fox spat out a mouthful of spittle. "A ghost is connected by flesh and blood." Chu Tian ignored the little fox's expression. "Is it wrong for me to bring it to the battle? Since you have established a spirit beast contract, the spirit beast is a part of a cultivator's weapon and also a part of a cultivator's strength. Bringing a spirit beast to the battle is reasonable." The Southern Summer King sat on the platform and his eyes swept over the 18 black-clothed people behind Chu Tian. "Only, letting these people participate in the battle is against the rules of the duel. My king, please take a look." Chu Tian picked up the bell and shook it. The 18 black-clothed people lifted their robes, and when everyone saw the true appearance of these black-clothed people, they were instantly stunned. How were these people? Each one of them had bulging muscles, like they were experts. Their skin was completely black, like they had keratinized shells. Their eyes were hollow and only had a weak blood-red glow. On each monster's body, there were large amounts of blood veins. These blood veins were very small and were like tattoos on their bodies. If one looked carefully with a magnifying glass, they would find that there was a kind of glowing blood flowing in the center of these blood veins. These are Yin corpse guards refined by Xiao Xiao. They do not have their own thoughts and are completely controlled by me. Chu Tian shook the bell and used his spiritual energy to control the Yin corpses. The Yin corpses all took a step forward at the same time. Their movements were uniform without any differences, just like a precise machine. They are only tools. Chapter 310. Chu Tian wasn't a fool. Would he really go and humiliate himself? How could he fight a peak 9th awakened soul layer expert with his 6th awakened soul layer strength? Chu Tian did not borrow any external force, but he still had a way to win. That was to use his main source spirit regardless of the price. Ever since Chu Tian came to this world, he had faced many so-called experts without any fear. He could even be considered arrogant and despotic, but the biggest thing he relied on was his main source spirit. Regardless of the price, regardless of the backlash, regardless of the consequences. Chu Tian released his main source spirit and opened his 10th eye. He could even fight against the three rulers. The problem was that it was too dangerous for Chu Tian. He wouldn't do it unless it was a life and death situation. But other than this special strength, if a 6th awakened soul layer cultivator fought against a peak 9th awakened soul layer cultivator, their chances of winning would be very small or even impossible. So Chu Tian could only borrow other powers like the little fox or the divine blood Yin corpses. So it's a Yin corpse. What a strange refining method. These Yin corpses are tools and weapons. Since it's like this, we'll allow them to be used in the arena. The Southern Summer King and the Wang family did not have any objections. First, these Yin corpse puppets that did not have their own consciousness were used as support tools. It was like a mechanical master using mechanical beasts, it did not violate the rules of the arena. Secondly, to Wang Tianlong and the Wang family, the Yin corpse's aura wasn't weak, but it wasn't strong enough to defeat Wang Tianlong, so the Wang family didn't care at all. No matter what tricks Chu Tian played, this absolute difference in strength was not something he could make up for. The calm martial ruler personally acted as the judge. Clang! The duel bell rang. Wang Tianlong stood motionless like a statue, looking at Chu Tian with a cold and indifferent gaze. President Chu dares to provoke me in public, his courage is commendable. But with your strength, even if you add the Yin corpses, you still have no chance of winning. Chu Tian's expression was relaxed. If you know me well enough, then you'll understand that I'm best at creating miracles. The more impossible something is, the more possible it is in my hands. So, please feel free to make your move, heroic martial marquis. I'm really looking forward to it. Wang Tianlong smiled coldly. I think we should ask President Chu to make the first move, lest you lose on the spot before you even make a move. Chu Tian held the netherworld sword in his right hand and a flame appeared on the blade while his left hand shook the soul-absorbing bell. Then I won't be polite. Releasing his spiritual energy, the 18 divine blood Yin corpses were like awakened statues, instantly forming an all-like formation. The Yin corpses in the back sent their energy to the Yin corpses in front, accumulating layer upon layer of energy. Then the last 2 Yin corpses poured their energy into the Yin corpse in the front. Boom! A wave of energy rippled through the ground. The originally sturdy stone floor of the dueling arena began to ripple like water. First, a wave of water-like energy surged out, pushing the earth and gravel in all directions. Insignificant skill. Wang Tianlong stood in the same spot without moving. He gently raised the dragon aura spear and gently slammed it into the ground. A hot dragon aura flame instantly covered the surroundings, burning away the energy coming at him. However, at this time, the 18 Yin corpses finished condensing their energy. The Yin corpse in the front turned blood red and an incomparably strong energy began to gather in its body. It was like a storm that could explode at any moment. The energy released by the 17 Yin corpses had all been poured into a single Yin corpse. How was this done? This did not make sense at all. Everyone's spirit energy was different. If a large amount of spirit energy was poured into another person's body, it would only harm that person. Moreover, even if the Yin corpses had the same energy. But with the energy of the 18 Yin corpses gathered, even a peak 9th awakened soul layer expert would explode, but this Yin corpse did not show any signs of exploding at all. Wang Tianlong's right hand reached out and slowly raised the dragon aura spear. He couldn't help being alert. That blood-red Yin corpse raised its palms and a storm of blood-red energy gathered, instantly forming a ball of energy. This ball of energy went from small to large, releasing a blood-red glow like a sun. Then it went from big to small and the entire compression process created a large pressure, causing the surrounding ground to cave in. Everyone was stunned. This ball of energy was not small. Not only did it contain a strong corpse poison, it also contained an unbelievable strength. It came from the Een corpse's divine blood and was majestic and vast. It was something that had never been heard of before. The calm martial ruler was also very surprised when he felt the energy condensed by the Een corpses. This energy is very special, it is something this ruler has never seen before. The refined ruler nodded. Chu Tian has quite a few secrets on him. The Southern Summer King tightly knit his brows. What was going on? The strength of the 18 Een corpses was around the peak 7th awakened soul layer. Although they were not weak, with just this bit of strength, it was impossible for them to condense this kind of strong energy. Wang Tianlong could not sit still. This energy was very strong and it was still growing stronger. It had already reached the point where it could threaten Wang Tianlong. The dragon aura spear suddenly rose up. So. The moment it rose up from the ground, it was like a beam of light shooting into the sky, instantly piercing through the clouds. Wang Tianlong's feet stomped on the ground and he charged into the sky. He held the dragon aura spear in the air and from 100 meters in the air, he was like a meteor as he suddenly shot down with the spear. His source spirit was released. It was a coiling dragon spear. This dragon aura spear was supported by his source spirit and it seemed like it was alive. It was instantly covered in a layer of dark gold, as if it was no longer a dead object, but rather a flood dragon in Wang Tianlong's hand. The Een corpses threw the highly compressed energy ball forward. Wang Tianlong's shocking attack directly stabbed into the blood-red energy ball. Open for me. A dragon's roar rang out. It was majestic, shocking, and filled everyone with amazement. The moment the dragon aura spear stabbed out, it released an incomparably hot red dragon's breath. Wherever the dragon's breath went, even the air was distorted from the heat. Even if it was steel that met this hot aura, it would still be instantly evaporated. This kind of strong aura was sucked into the invisible spear glow. It could be said that its strength had increased by several times, forming an incomparably large spiral. It attempted to use the most violent and direct method to tear apart the Een corpse's energy and then kill Chu Tian. The red shockwave and the dragon's breath spear glow collided. Berserk energy rippled out, and the terrain of the arena instantly crumbled. It was like two giant ships colliding with each other at an incomparably fast speed, creating a loud explosion that made people's hairs stand on end. Wang Tianlong was confident that the dragon's breath could burn everything. No matter what kind of energy it was, it could easily swallow it and instantly dissolve it. But the reality was beyond his expectations. The energy released by these Een corpses was not just pure energy, it contained a very strange energy that even the dragon's breath could not burn. Wang Tianlong could not pierce through this energy and instantly felt a strong rebound. This is bad. Wang Tianlong flew into the air and prepared to retreat. The blood-red energy turned into a giant fist. He chased after Wang Tianlong with a force that could topple mountains and overturn seas. His fist smashed into Wang Tianlong's body, and the violent force directly crushed Wang Tianlong into the ground. The place where Wang Tianlong was hit sank at least 10 meters into the ground, and the surrounding area was a mess. Everyone cried out in shock. The heroic martial marquis had been smashed into the ground. The heroic martial marquis was in the peak 9th awakened soul layer. Chu Tian had used the combined attack of the Een corpses to make the heroic martial marquis suffer a large loss. It was no wonder that Chu Tian dared to challenge Wang Tianlong. The strength of these 18 Een corpses was stronger than he imagined. Pang! The ground on the other side shattered. Wang Tianlong broke through the ground. At this moment, Wang Tianlong was in a very sorry state. That high-grade armor of his was already broken and his eyes were filled with rage. He had been smashed into the ground at the start of the battle, this was simply a great insult to Wang Tianlong. Flood Dragon Strike. With a sweep of the dragon aura spear, several streams of energy intertwined and shot at Chu Tian like several flood dragons. If this attack hit its mark, Chu Tian would probably be blasted to pieces on the spot. The 18 Yin corpses raised their hands at the same time and a blood net-like energy barrier instantly appeared in front of them. The dragon aura spear's power hit the energy barrier and was immediately bounced back by an unknown force. Wang Tianlong's speed reached its limit. He held the dragon aura spear in the air and threw himself at the energy barrier, causing the entire energy barrier to shatter. Truly worthy of being the heroic martial marquis. This burst of strength was shocking. Die! After Wang Tianlong shattered the energy barrier, he stabbed his spear at Chu Tian. At this time, a Yin corpse jumped up and used its body to block the attack. Wang Tianlong stabbed the Yin corpse and the fierce strength crushed the Yin corpse into the ground. Under this kind of attack, the Yin corpses should have been crushed. Chu Tian's Yin corpses were very strong, but the 18 Yin corpses were a whole. If one of them was killed, their strength would be greatly reduced and it would be a large loss to miracle commerce. The Yin corpses charged forward one by one. Wang Tianlong's spear was like a dragon, it was almost watertight, each strike sending a Yin corpse flying. The Wang family was very excited seeing this. Chu Tian had killed Wang Tu's mount and Wang Tianlong had killed his 18 Yin corpses, this could be considered paying back the debt. Peng, peng, peng. All the Yin corpses in the way were sent flying. Yin corpses were Yin corpses in the end, it was impossible for them to learn cultivation techniques, so their fighting style was very simple. How could they deal with a top-level expert like Wang Tianlong? Your Yin corpses are only so. When Wang Tianlong was prepared to stab the last one, the Yin corpse suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood that fell onto Wang Tianlong's body. Although Wang Tianlong managed to send the Yin corpse flying with his spear, he still felt a strong force fall onto his body, making him feel dizzy as he fell to the ground from the sky. This is large amounts of blood veins that were hard to see with the naked eye, they were as thin as hair, but there was a large amount of them, almost covering Wang Tianlong's entire body. It was this strength that was suppressing the strength in Wang Tianlong's body. Wang Tianlong wanted to take a step forward, but he was surprised to find that the ground was also covered in blood veins, forming a complex and profound array. The Yin corpses that had been hit began to stand up one by one. Each Yin corpse had a hole or depression, but with the effect of the divine blood, these injuries could be seen with the naked eye, finally appearing in front of him in perfect condition. These Yin corpses were too sturdy. Normal ninth awakened soul layer cultivators would find it hard to resist the dragon aura spear, but these Yin corpses were pierced by the dragon aura spear. Not only were they not torn apart, their bodies were completely intact, even if they were damaged, they could automatically recover. Were these things immortal? This was the power of the divine blood. A spiritual god was an immortal existence, even if their bodies were destroyed, they could still instantly recover. Although these Yin corpses had only been injected with a little divine blood, they still had a strong recovery ability. As long as they were not completely destroyed, they had a way to recover. The divine blood seal covered Wang Tianlong's body, it was enough to seal a part of Wang Tianlong's strength. Wang Tianlong gave an angry roar. When he was prepared to break the array, the 18 Yin corpses formed a formation and instantly surrounded Wang Tianlong. They used some kind of profound movement technique to move the array, making Wang Tianlong hallucinate. He almost had a feeling of not knowing where to start. Meng Qingguo and Meng Yingying revealed excited expressions when they saw this. The Yin corpses were beginning to form an array. These Yin corpses' individual strength couldn't withstand a single blow from Wang Tianlong, but once they formed an array to attack, the result would be completely different. Even if Wang Tianlong was strong, wanting to break this array would not be easy. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.